What is going on, ladies and gentlemen?
What's up, everybody? I don't know if y'all can see Coach Jay. Let me know if.
Okay. Guys, if you can hear me, if you can hear me, can you give me like a thumbs up if you can hear me properly? I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. Oh, you see me? Can you hear me fine? Does audio sound right for you guys? Okay, so Katrina. Okay, so yeah, so Katrina says truth, Deontay, Inquisitive Prince. Okay, so all right, so I sound good. What about? Can you hear Coach Moot? Can you guys hear Coach Moot? Coach, can you say something?
I don't know what it is, guys, but I am not getting Jay. I think it might be my reception. I might have to switch devices and go over. Yeah, they can hear me.
Okay, so it's between us. We gotta.
Yeah, they can hear me. It's just we're having issues
Yep.
hearing each other. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard right now, but it looks like on the live stream, yeah, it might be me, man. You have capabilities to keep this show going, don't you? If I back out.
Yep.
Let me
thumbs up.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back, y'all. I have to check my connection because I can't hear Coach Jay at all. So Coach Jay, take it away for a second and I'll be right back.
Okay, well, like I said, I apologize for the technical difficulties. StreamYard is acting nuts. It is acting crazy. But like I said, as long as you guys can hear me, man, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Of course, in this early morning. I am on vacation. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be here for hopefully today and hopefully we can do the future on. But what's going on, family? What's going on? Let's bring up some of these chats. Let's see, Jonathan. I saw Katrina. What is going on? Bama Man, Deontay, George. Of course, Mike Fort. We got to get the Michigan fans in here. We got, of course, Diddy, Jeremy, JG. What is going on with you, family? Of course, one of our Bama members. Appreciate you guys so much for stopping by. Coach Sean should be here shortly. He is running a little late. He said he was going to be here in just a little bit. So Coach Sean should be on here. But like I said, guys, we simply just want to come on here, give you guys a little chat. I do, Kyle's in right now. I think he's in Pasadena. I think he's getting ready to prep for the bowl game between Alabama and Michigan, so we can't wait for that. But we want to quickly kind of talk to you guys quickly, just some more recaps, of course, what's going on, particularly with transfer portal, and whatever you guys want, kind of want to talk about as far as fan interactions and stuff like that go on. I do believe that we were going to try to do more of a call-in show, maybe stuff with the Discord. So hopefully Coach Schmook can come on here a little bit earlier on. But until then, man, I guess quickly we can kind of get straight onto the topics. So Alabama, Michigan, of course, that is coming on, of course, on Monday. Everyone knows for the most part it is going to be a fantastic game. Of course, Mike, he's in the chat. He can attest to you about this. Michigan is no joke. They're going to have a vaunted front seven, vaunted offensive line, even though they're suffering some key injuries. Alabama, for the most part, as most fans we know, it has been a developing process. We've gone through so much progression, so much kind of just absolutely just absolute grit. Like, you look at the South Florida game, 17-7, where not only was it just bad quarterback play, we got dominated off the line of scrimmage. I don't think really people want to talk about that, but on the offensive line, that was the worst offensive line performance that we've had. And and Michigan fans, rightfully so, have for the most part, when we talk about debating, it's kind of like, well, what's to fear about Alabama's offensive line? Caden Proctor got whipped by Landon Jackson, an Arkansas defensive edge rusher who ever since that game really hasn't done much. He had 3.5 sacks. 3.5 sacks, torched him all day. We don't know what guard we want to put up with Darian Dalcourt. With a lot of these other guys in here, we're having problems with our quarterback as far as him not being focusing on the short to intermediate throws. Phenomenal when it comes to over 25, 30 yards. Phenomenal when it comes to the deep ball, and and how much validity he puts on a lot of his throws. But when it comes to short intermediate, he's off bases. He's not really that guy. So this is the type of stuff that as Alabama fans we have to hear from a daily basis, and it does become pretty tiring. But Michigan fans also have to hear the exact same thing, right? Michigan, what's been the tall order for Michigan? And Mike and Carlos, if they're going to be in here, Mike will tell you it's Michigan doesn't have a passing game. It's JJ McCarthy for the most part. He's not a lethal passer, right? The first round hype is absolutely garbage. It's Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards aren't as dynamic as they used to be. It's Michigan's offensive line isn't as lethal, especially because they lost Zenner, their guard in there. They're not as lethal as pretty much as it is. The receivers can't get open, can't get any separation, aren't dynamic, aren't really fast, aren't really good when it comes to the vertical threat. Their tight ends are nothing but blockers. They can't really go in the receiving game. Right, this is stuff that Michigan has to hear all day, including on their defense side of the ball, how they can't play with speed. So it's a tale of two halves between both our fan bases. And it's last day on the show with Coach Sean and Coach Moot. This is going to be a game where I don't think it's going to be close. I think that this is going to be a game where, for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, one team's either going to win, but one team's either going to is going to blow up the other. It's either Alabama's going to win this game by 2 scores, or it's Michigan's going to win the game by 2 scores, because they're both very similar. They're both very identical. Yes, you can make a case that Alabama is a little bit more dynamic, and yes, you can make an argument that Michigan is a little bit more disciplined on the defense side of the ball. But when we take a look at the philosophies and we take a look at the approach that both coordinators can do, which, by the way, both of them have young coordinators. Well, except for Kevin Steele, he's really the only old one that there is. But both coordinators can make adjustments on the fly. Both coordinators can get out of their comfort zone. Both coordinators, for the most part, can establish a really, really good game plan and a really, really good plan of emphasis. And they both have really, really good strengths as far as player personnel wise. You can make an argument in case that Alabama, of course, has a better, more talented front, and Michigan has a more developed and more experienced front. But either way, guys, I think that by the end of this thing, because both teams have very similar strengths and also, in a way, kind of similar weaknesses, I don't think that this is going to be an Alabama versus Georgia case. I think that with the way that things are going now, this is going to be a 2-score game. My prediction was Alabama was going to win the game 24-13, but you can also flip it around and you can say that Michigan's going to win the game 24-13. It is, like I said, I'm the objective one, except if you go on my other channel, I'm ruthless. But it is going to be a game, ladies and gentlemen, where it's truly going to be a chess match, and it's two styles that are, it's like Mike Tyson. It's like 80s Mike Tyson. And this is not maybe even the best analogy. I would say like early 80s Mike Tyson, not mid 80s Mike Tyson when he was in his prime. I'm talking like a teenager Mike Tyson that was literally just starting to get into the boxing realm. It was very, very wild with his combinations, very wild with his footwork. Extremely talented heavy hitter type guy with phenomenal boxing ability. But obviously he wasn't as polished as he was in the mid 80s versus Mike Tyson in the 90s, who had the incredible power, best physique he ever had in his life, but it was extremely undisciplined and just didn't really have put that much effort into the game like he used to anymore. Just wasn't as motivated. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. It's like the 80s, like early 80s Mike versus 90s Mike. So I'm excited for it. I know you guys are. Like I said, it's been crazy interactions all around the case. And we got Coach Mook back. Coach Mook, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, so I had to go to the laptop. I have to go to the laptop for a second. I don't know what's going on with the PC setup. I'm hardwired into the connection, and it seems like that's running slow because I hear you perfectly on the laptop. So we'll just run with this one. Only thing is, without the PC, we can't link in the Discord link, but we may have an alternative. I might be able to pull up my Google Voice number. The only thing is with that, it's only one person in the call waiting. So we'll see how we can route it in if we're able to. If not, no worries. We'll be able to have you all the fan interaction on the show before the weekend is out. We have another show tomorrow, same time, doing a similar type coverage that we're doing today, and we also have our show on Monday, post game show, where we'll have everything set up so that you all can call in and we do what we do, with the new setup. But uh, continue talking, man. I was over here listening on the other side in the chat, trying to make sure everything was straight. But yeah, man, I heard you talking about the difference in the defensive line and how that's a key matchup for you. I think you were saying that it could be 24-13 either way. You
Yeah, I
just
think
don't.
it's gonna be is whoever's gonna win this game is gonna be about 2 scores. I don't see this game being close for either team.
And I hate that you keep wanting to be the objective one and saying for either team, because honestly, man, I just, even after last night when we talked about just the matchups in the interior, and I went back and I just had to watch the fronts on both sides, big games, key games. And I'm talking about pressure games. The pressure game for Michigan to me was probably the Ohio State game for sure, Penn State game. Um, Maryland ended up being a pressure game for them because they allowed Maryland to hang around, and even their inefficiency on offense in against Iowa made that game. The scoreboard won't tell the true story for that game. I would look really nice on defense after they made a few adjustments. I think it was in the second quarter. I was up to like 2:30 this morning watching games, bro. And but yeah, it's one of those things where when I turn on the tape for their big games, pressure moments in those situations, and I go to Alabama and see the level of competition that we're going against. You're going against, and this is why I keep talking to the Michigan fans. I don't think they're really paying attention to the numbers that matter, bro. We went over third down passing efficiency yesterday on the show last night, and I tapped into it. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the video that I put out going a little bit more in depth. But Michigan is going to be in a lot of third and passing situations because of the way their offense is set up. They're content with running the ball against teams whose pass defense and run defense rank outside the top 30, top 25, top 50. You start, and people will be like, why you only doing top 25, top 50? Well, you have 138 FBS teams or something like that. So usually outside of your top 30%, is your 30% is probably where you're going to find your best brand of competition. And that's like over time span, 3-4 years of consistent production. And that top 30% consists of majority SEC teams, but maybe two. And that's Vanderbilt and surprisingly Arkansas. Are the two teams that don't make that cut when you talking about being effective or being in that top tier. So that top 30%. So I look at what Michigan has been faced. They haven't faced anybody outside of Ohio State and Maryland where both sides of the ball rank statistically in the top 50. And if you go and watch those games where they played teams who are ranked at 94, 103rd, 119th, I think it was like 87 was the next closest thing to Maryland, whose total offensive production is statistically ranked at number 50. When you go and look at those numbers, man, it doesn't give me confidence in a Michigan defense to say that they're dominant, that they are disciplined, they do their job, but to say that they're dominant, yeah, you're dominant. Somebody made a joke in the chat, but if you go out there, it looks like go watch Blake Barnett's high school highlight film, or even Archie Manning. Go watch their highlight film, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like you got this quarterback out there who has just a little bit more athletic ability than everybody else on the field, and can not a drop back passer and can let it rip and hit people on time, and hit the pass on time. He just can be a Johnny Manziel all the time because he's a little bit better, a little bit more athletic, and that's what Michigan was able to do all season. Majority of the season, they were just a little bit more talented, a little bit more athletic. Everybody,
JJ is because like when you're trying to scout and when you're trying to elevate JJ can make throws because I will say this, there's a reason why teams got him mocked in the first round. Because he does have an arm and he can make throws that I don't think any other that very few quarterbacks in college can make. So we can't question.
Don't give him that. Don't give
him
that.
I'll give him that
because JJ's not even in the top 15 quarterback in the nation right now, bro. In college football,
but so wasn't Anthony Richardson wasn't a top 15 quarterback in the nation. He was
Anthony Richardson can run you over. No, Anthony Richardson can run you over.
Exactly, because Anthony Richardson could do things that no other quarterbacks in college, that very few college quarterbacks in the NFL can do. JJ McCarthy, when I watch, and again, it's not consistent so I'm not gonna, because I agree with you. I don't think before you continue. Go ahead.
Where can you put JJ McCarthy other than quarterback? If for real, have some production out of him. That's where I look at when you talk about a quarterback. When you say can make a difference and change the game, I can go. Jaden Daniels could play wide receiver. Jaden Daniels could play running back if he wanted to. I mean, and of course, weight gain and all that stuff will be a factor. Jalen Murrow, same thing. Jackson Dart, wide receiver, free safety. I mean, just if they weren't quarterbacks, you can give them an option to still be on the team and be productive. JJ McCarthy is not that guy, man.
Yeah, but it's not the NFL scouts. They're looking for the talent. They're looking for him as a prospect, what he could do on the football field. And the fact of the matter is that he has enough tape, according to these scouts. Because it's not just me, right? I have him more as a second round prospect, but according to NFL scouts, they have him as a first round prospect because of the type. Because when you look at the tape, some of the throws that some of the ability, the throws that he can make, what he can do outside of the pocket, and the throws that he can be accurate on when it comes to the short and intermediate throws, which again, it's a big improvement compared to how it was in 2020 when he was starting quarterback in 22. It's a big improvement. And so when you have to take that into consideration, and some of the throws that he can make that are considered NFL caliber throws, that are considered throws that very few quarterbacks in college could make, that scouts love that. Scouts will overall salivate over that, and they'll take a quarterback that honestly they can try to groom. Let's be honest here. Trey Lance wasn't a top 10 top. I don't even think he was a top 20 quarterback in the National Football League. Yet the San Francisco 49ers took him in the top 5. Josh Allen was not a top 20 quarterback in college, nowhere near it. But guess what Josh Allen did? Josh Allen was a massive quarterback that made throws that no other quarterbacks could make. And he ended up being a top 10 pick. It could have been number 1, but he ended up being a top 10 pick. We all know he wasn't the better quarterback. So that's why I think JJ McCarthy, I think for the most part, he's risen his stock. He's gotten a little bit better. And I think if we can make a little bit of translation to the game as far as, what game could solidify himself to being that overall first round guy, it is against Alabama. Because when you go back and you look at some of the tape and look at some of the good things some of the things that he can do, it's typically what quarterbacks that have posed issues and posed problems to Alabama can give out on. And that's his ability to be an efficient scrambler runner, make these huge throws that no other quarterbacks could make big time plays and make big time plays in situations when needed. Ohio State, I mean, I'll give him some credit for. I'll give him some love for this. JJ McCarthy made the throws at the end of the day that they needed him to make. That's pretty much been him all day. He's not a 300-yard guy. He's not a 400-yard guy. Could he be that guy? That's the question. Is can he be that guy? Because in times where they needed him to play in from behind, he did have 300 yards against TCU. Now they lost that game by 3 points, but he also was the reason why, in a way, they scored over 48 points in that game. It was a big reason why for it. So Michigan hasn't really put him in that position for JJ McCarthy to be that guy. That's why I always kind of like to take the road, because we've been in situations where we've let quarterbacks take over. Even this year, we've let certain quarterbacks kind of get into rhythm. Now that was a fault because of our offense. Because our offense, for the most part, kept leaving our defense to the field. That was a big issue, especially in that Texas game, because Quinn was out of rhythm for that entire first half, especially when we shut him out in the red zone, until what happened. The second half came, defense got tired, and the offense started to kind of pick up. That's when the offense started to pick up. The defense got exhausted, and then all of a sudden, we just couldn't stop Quinn Ewers. So that's kind of my thing is, can we really contain JJ McCarthy? Can we really kind of keep him inside the pocket and make him do a lot of uncomfortable things? That's something that I'm very interested in kind of seeing, but I can't ignore the threat that dude has. He's got talent. He's got first round ability, but he doesn't really have the consistent game film to really put it all together. And the same case could be made for Jalen Murrow, because we talked about this before. Jalen Murrow could be a first-round prospect. Consider if he came out today, could be considered a first-round prospect, because he does a lot of things that not all the guys can do, but we don't have the consistency for a full tape. That's why I keep saying that I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think both quarterbacks are going to go off. It's either one's going to do it and the other one's not going to do it. And that's my concern.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think in this game, outside of the personal opinions and everything, and I just go back to the numbers, man. McCarthy against good defenses, and he's only seen one for real good defense. You know, Penn State, their numbers were heavily padded because of how trash that offense was. They have the lowest time of possession ranking, overall average time of possession ranking in their conference. They're the second to the lowest. So that means they have the highest defensive snap count for a team as far as team defense is concerned. So Penn State has a lot more opportunities to go out there and shut down other trash offenses in that conference because their offense is that garbage. So when you look at what Michigan did against Penn State, what they did against Ohio State, what they did against Maryland, even I'll even say what they did to Purdue didn't excite even the Michigan fan base. Even though they blew Purdue out, the way they had to win that game was not like we used to have the Arkansas game, where in the second half we should have put up at least 21, another 21 points. But a lot of that literally was a lot of that wasn't based on the fact that JJ McCarthy can't pass, or he won't pass, is that he has nobody to throw it to. And in those situations, you can't create but so many times. You get what I'm saying? You can't create but so many times before it starts to bite you in the butt. And man, it's just hard to believe that JJ McCarthy, and I agree with you, man. I think Tyler Buckner could go out there and hit some of the impressive passes that JJ McCarthy
I don't think he can.
Let me tell you.
I don't think he can do that, man.
I have yet to see. Even last year against TCU, the worst defense in the playoffs. They came in after getting beat by Kansas State. You get what I'm saying? I don't even see why they were even in the playoffs. That doesn't make sense to me. But TCU didn't bring a defense to that game. So him putting those numbers up against TCU is like me giving him credit, or me giving Miro credit for putting up the numbers he put up against Middle Tennessee State. When it comes to defense, the ratings and everything, you got TCU ranked in the bottom third defensively as far as ratings and stuff. I just statistics. I just can't give McCarthy that leeway to say that, you know, he can produce at that level. He hasn't shown me. He's shown me spots. Now Miro, on the other hand, has shown us we can rely on his arm if needed be. Texas A&M game, prime example. LSU game, prime example. Even though all of his scores were with his legs, that game was his arm was the difference in the game. Miro's been in games where his arm is literally the difference, or his legs is the difference. You can't show me a game where JJ McCarthy's arm or his either one of those attributes is the difference in the game. And I mean,
Ohio State 2021. Ohio State 2021, where he just went off. He just,
I gotta go back and watch it.
He went off. He went off.
I just don't trust JJ.
Yeah,
I don't like JJ. I don't trust him. I'm glad he's not a Bama quarterback. If it was between him and Buckner, I'm sleeping and I'm thinking over it. It's not a clear-cut decision between him and Buckner. Just saying. Hey, Carlos, I'm glad you're in the chat today too, man. Carlos. I can't wait, Carlos. I can't wait.
I say, man, Carlos, man, you see what I gotta do, man? I gotta defend JJ McCarthy.
Hey,
no,
you can try and defend him, but the proof is in the pudding, man. This kid, and everybody keep talking about. We highlighted the fact that his numbers are close to Miro's, right? Miro missed the whole game. Miro didn't have near as many starts. The level of competition when you're talking about the numbers, the defensive stats really was Miro's only hump. Like this season, the if you look at the defense that he faced 6 defenses in the top 50, man. 6 defenses in the top 50.
Not agreement
to come out. to come out with one loss, and literally that one loss statistically wasn't on Milroe. Now he missed some reads and stuff of that nature, but statistically that one loss was not on Milroe.
Can we also say that about JJ McCarthy though, with the top defenses that he's played against?
Who?
I mean, Iowa.
What top defenses?
Iowa, Penn.
Stop doing that for the Big Ten, bro. Stop doing that.
But those are
they don't play no.
But we can't. We can't do that. But we can't do that with Jalen Milroe. We can't say and sit up here and say that that Jalen Milroe's played against 7 top 50 defenses, and then all of a sudden we have to ignore that JJ McCarthy's played against. He's played against 4 top 10 defenses.
He's played against 3. It ain't 4. It's 3 because the I want to say
3 top 10 defenses.
Yes, 3 top 10. But look at the offenses
that's impressive.
Production that they had to
that's impressive.
If your 3 top defenses are going against offenses that average 12 points a game, bro, between the 3 teams, that's not a defense. That's not top defense to me.
Penn State doesn't average, but they don't. Penn State doesn't average that. They don't. Penn State they have one of the highest scoring offenses.
They were the highest average team out of the 3 top the offenses out of 3 top defenses that they played. Those other 2 offenses were not above 21. We had teams where literally the offenses are averaging more than 20 points a game. Go and look at how many teams Penn State played.
I can agree with that. The offense, I can agree with that. Like I said,
so
as far as offensive
give them
productivity,
much credit. You can't give them credit for being top defenses if they're not consistently playing top offenses. That's what I'm saying.
But you can also, you can also flip it around. You can also flip that argument around and say, well, maybe the defensive levels got better. Maybe the defensive levels that good.
There's no way you can say that, bro. If none of their offenses are
here's why.
Bro.
Here's why we can say that is because when we take a look at NFL productivity as far as active starters on a year in and year out basis, it's the Big Ten is the SEC, and then there's everybody else. It's those 2 conferences. So we can't talk about from a talent standpoint. Even now, look at every mock draft. Look at the mock drafts. When you look at them, no, don't even look at Bruce Philbin's top 100 prospects. Look at the top 100 prospects list. Look at the amount of Big Ten players that comes from that conference. Now, is it better than the SEC? No, I completely agree that I think the SEC is better in that regard. But right behind them is the Big Ten. The Big Ten is, without a question of doubt, the second best conference in college football. It's no argument. From a yearly basis, they're just like with us. So we can't really sit up here and diminish what Michigan has been able to accomplish, because let's be honest about this, guys. When it comes for us, we've been pretty damn, we've been consistently inconsistent, right? In that Georgia game, we both can agree on this. They should have put up 40 points easily if Jalen Milroe was able to hit some of the throws that he was able to connect on. Now, I'm not going to dog Jalen Milroe for this because we all can agree he still is developing as a quarterback, and I think he's going to be a Heisman. I really do think that he could potentially win the Heisman next year. That's why I think he can take that Jaden Daniels step. But we also can agree that he's missed on the exact same opportunities that you can sit up and say that JJ has kind of missed out on some opportunities when they even give him that chance. JJ hasn't. There's only been maybe one game where he's had to work as a quarterback. Every other situation he doesn't have to be that guy that he was in that TCU game where you put up over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. He didn't have to be that guy the entirety of the year. So that's why we cannot diminish what Michigan has been able to accomplish on the football field. It is just as big as a threat. It is just as big as a threat than we are to them.
Negative. Inconsistent Michigan beating Georgia in that SEC championship game. Inconsistent. If Michigan goes out, if JJ McCarthy has a similar game, like similar mode, similar momentum, missing the same amount of reads, is Michigan have the capability to edge the game out against Georgia, their defense, their efficient offense, based off of what you've seen on film. Not even adding the numbers, not even talking about the numbers, because numbers-wise, Georgia's blowing Michigan out. From the beginning of the season to the end of the season, there's no comparison with
I don't think so.
Man, please.
I disagree.
Man, please. Especially,
based on what?
And that's without a healthy Brock Bowers. I guarantee.
No, see, I have to disagree with that.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Look at the percentage, the success percentage on their pressures on the quarterback, and look what Georgia was able to do with Carson Beck. Michigan can't create pressure. Their defense is inadequate. Georgia faced multiple defensive fronts ranked higher or ranked in the top 25, just like Alabama did. just like Alabama did, rank multiple defense, and we're able to maintain. You talking about consistency? Georgia is consistent in what they did. The fact that we were able to go in and get them off a track and then not even play our best game and pull the win off, that in itself tells a lot more than what Michigan has been able to do this year. I don't care what they've been able. Michigan, they're going to get recruits because of the brand. It's Michigan. We're not going to discredit that historically. I'm talking about this year. JJ McCarthy and that offense, they have yet to see any type of defense that can match up with them across the board. That's from the front to the linebackers to the boundary.
We don't think Penn State can do. We don't think Penn State was that defense.
No, Penn State was not. And
we don't think Ohio State was
Ohio
a defense
State was the
that can match up.
closest thing to it. They only saw it once, and you saw what they did with it. Ohio State lost that game. The running game, Ohio State, they took their time and kept running the ball. Michigan's offense is irrelevant as it was already in that game. They didn't do nothing impressive to win that game. Ohio State literally lost that game. Kyle McCord lost that game. So you can't. My thing is, Miro seen the tougher defense. Stats going to show it. He missed a game. You know, he didn't play a whole game. He set out half a game. I think 2 games. He set out in fourth quarter. So I mean, the stats. If we had a coach like Jim Harbaugh, where we want to, try to, I don't know what his idea of offensive production is with his top guys, but you see him abuse his top guys. Jim Harbaugh is known for abuse. He going to let them get their shine. He going to abuse them. He going to ride with where he go. If we took time and did that and didn't create value for everybody on our team, we could look like Michigan. You know what I'm saying? But there's no point in doing that when you get to the playoffs like this, because guess what? You sitting there prepping for Jermaine Burton to be the number 1 go-to guy, and Isaiah Bonds and Malik Benson just catching stride. Amari Neblack just catching stride. Kendrick Law just catching stride. These are guys that we knew coming into the season would need to be implemented, and they just catching their stride. Michigan has never seen that. They never had to defend outside of 1 or 2 options. It just doesn't schematically line up. Talent-wise, it doesn't line up schematically for them, and the numbers will show you. Bro, you can't play 13 teams in a year, and 2 of them, out of those 13 teams, only 2 are in the top 50 as far as offensive production, and say that you're a dominant defense, nor can you go against whatever. You want to give them that 4th one in that 51 ranking or whatever that 4th defense was ranked outside the top 50. If you want to give them that, bro, the offense, two offenses in the top 50, 4 defenses in the top 50, you're not seeing that type. You're going to see at least 5 or 6 every year in the SEC, and that's what teams we give Ole Miss, Kentucky, Texas A&M, Missouri, all these teams that we put in that middle of the pack in the SEC. We get them so much crap for being mediocre. If you brought Michigan down here, that's where Michigan would be, with an Ole Miss, with an Arkansas, with the Tennessees, the Floridas. They would literally be them. They probably would be worse off in this season. I'm not talking about tradition. I'm talking about this season, just because of the numbers. They've been fortunate enough to play trash offenses all year. Carlos, Mike, your defense, Michigan's defense, has been fortunate enough to play some of the worst offensive statistically. If you turn on the film, it looks even worse, but statistically, some of the worst offensive production out of that conference in 15 years. Michigan has been privy to that. Ohio State has been privy to that. Penn State, with their trash offense, has been privy to that. So I just don't see it, man. And it's not the fan in me. It's like, I just want to see a good game. I would, at this point, turning on the film, you need Michigan's defensive line to sack Miro early in the game to make it a good game. Because if they can't get home to Miro and talking about they think they're going to drop 8 and have success against Miro, ask Texas A&M how that worked out for them in the first half. So
yeah, but A&M was extremely aggressive. They were extremely in that aggressive game. Matter of fact, one of the biggest faults was because they sent way too much pressure, and that allowed Jalen Miro to simply throw the football and get right behind them. Michigan's not going to do that. What Michigan is going to do, and Jalen Miro could tear him out, because we've seen. I think the Auburn game was a very similar strategy, and we've seen that Jalen Miro has shown the ability was able to do that. But they're not going to let the deep ball happen. There could be a few plays where they'll go ahead and take shots and they can make it happen, but they're going to live by that and they're going to die by it. What they are going to give up, and I talked about this last night, they're going to give up corners, they're going to give up out routes, they're going to give up a lot of underneath routes. They're going to give up the quick inside slants. That's what they're going to potentially try to give up. That's what they're going to sacrifice. And the question is does Jalen Miro take advantage of that? And there have been games there have been plenty of games where he has not taken advantage of that. Hasn't. So that's going to be the thing. That's my biggest question. I think for JJ McCarthy, here's the thing about this: is do we allow JJ McCarthy? I don't think we're gonna give up the short to intermediate when it comes to JJ McCarthy. I think it's the opposite. I think if anything, we're gonna try to make them work to see if they can throw the football down the field, because I do believe that our secondary has the capability of what was that?
They got on Twitter. They said tell Coach Zay to stop his foolishness, Michigan.
Yeah, but no, I think game. That's why I said in the beginning of the show, guys. That's why I think this game is extremely intriguing, because I think both defenses and both coordinators are going to do things that it's going to be fun. I think with Jalen Murrow, they're going to make him work to see if he can kill him with short to intermediate throws. They're going to see if he can be a pocket passer. I think with JJ McCarthy, it's can you beat us with the deep ball? Can you take advantage of those one-on-one situations with the tight ends against our safeties? Because we will give some, because I believe they're going to give some of that up, but they will sacrifice that for taking away the short to intermediate game. They'll take away that because that is JJ McCarthy's strength. Jalen Murrow's biggest strength is the deep ball. So that's why I think the matchup, it's that I don't see this game being close. Again, I have Alabama, as much as I've argued for Michigan and stuff like that, I had Alabama winning the game 24-13. I had them winning. And the only reason why I had them winning is because I talked about this last night. I said whoever gets up 14-0 quick first quarter hot start is going to win the game, because that means that the other team has to play uncharacteristic football. Their entire philosophy, which led them to that moment, has changed. The one thing that gives Alabama an advantage is the fact that we've seen Alabama's initial game plan get thrown out the water, and they had to make adjustments, maybe not as quickly, but it took them a while for them to kind of make those adjustments. And then as soon as they got it, they just went with it. Bama can go to plan A, plan B, plan C.
That's the difference. That's the difference that I've been trying to highlight the whole
Michigan
time.
has been, they've been with and we're just talking about this offensively. They only went plan B a couple of times, and that was the Penn State game where their initial game plan was rocking, because Penn State's edge rushers and Isaac and Robinson, they simply those edges destroyed them. They completely ruined Michigan's inside zone game. They completely ruined the passing attack. Just those two dudes alone ruined it because their tackles couldn't contain it. So what happened in the second half? Michigan decided to say, you know what, we're gonna run jumbo big. We're gonna run a huge jumbo package, two tight ends, and help out take one of the edge rushers out. And that's going to be the difference. Yes, one of them could still tear us up, but we will not allow the other one. We're going to completely mitigate the strong side.
Hey,
the strong side defense.
You know
why they're
able to do that though? You know why they're able to do that? Because at Penn State, you don't have 11 dogs on the other side of the ball.
It's speed. Penn State's one of the fastest teams in the country.
But they don't have the dog, bro. Stop hyping these dudes up. Penn State is
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
I thought
I just said Penn State. I'll say the reason why Michigan had so much success was because Michigan they don't have the DTs. They have speed though. They're extremely athletic.
This is something that Michigan has not been able to see on this level at all this year, man. Iowa discipline. Penn State, like you said, solid defense. Ohio State, solid defense. Probably the most talented, and I'm not going to say probably, they are the most talented defense that Michigan was able to see. These teams, they don't even present, when you talk about the most talented, they don't even present the depth that Alabama presents, and to say, like, and I don't get into the stars and all that, but I said it last night, man. There's a difference between a 5-star at Alabama and a 5-star at Ohio State. There's a difference between a 5-star at Alabama and a 5-star at Tech. I ain't gonna say Texas. I give Texas their credit because they do get their 5 stars down there, and they put them boys. They put them boys out. Jatavius Sanders, all them boys. Them boys about to be out there.
See, now that's what I disagree with. I disagree with. Was the difference of 5 stars. I disagree with that.
Man, please look at your top rated defensive lineman for Alabama, 5-star. I don't even think Otis is a 5-star.
No, he's a 4-star.
He's a 4-star.
No, he was like a
pro draft grade
4-star.
Pro draft grade. Go find a defensive lineman out the Big 12. How many defensive linemen out the Big 12 are getting higher pro draft grades than Jaheim Otis right now?
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of 4- and 5-star guys either. I mean, the Big 12 is actually one of the worst teams when it comes to that.
And
pretty much the only players that get
it, bro.
Yeah.
That's the point.
But
I keep trying to make.
who's number two? Who's number two right behind the SEC, the Big Ten? They have the
And
most when it comes besides them.
I'm just saying, bro. I like to look
No,
at
I
it
mean
from both
I get
sides.
it. I mean from
No,
a talent
I just
standpoint, we all know the SEC is better. No
I like
question.
to look at it from both sides, man. Statistics and what's on film, bro. Statistics will tell you, okay, the numbers they look similar, this and the third. But then you start breaking down, like I said, these team rankings. It's different. It's a difference when we were talking about this in week 5 and week 6 of the season,
Right.
when people were trying to find their identity. And these numbers I'm throwing out is full season numbers. That's what keeps the gap tight. Keep it close. It gives everybody an opportunity to think that this game is going to be close. But if you just do the last 6 weeks of the season, we're talking about numbers, production, stats, the way games are won, opponents, matchups, what the committee tries to use that we hate to use,
right.
transitive property, all that type of nature, styles of play. Michigan does not fare well against any team that produces any viable threat in the pass game or any team that can defend the run game. And Alabama, that's what our team has become. We've become an explosive over the top pass team, and that's just what it is. People think we just that's that we got this spread out offense. No, we literally only we big play. We're a big play offense. We ease into it with our run game. It was hard to get Miro into the quick pass game early, like you said. So we had to pick our spots, and you do that with the run game. How we run the game, how we use him in the run game. That's how you do that. I expect to see, and this is to get off of the whole, who's better, whatever, who they play. I think because of what Michigan does great on the defense, I think this is the game we do see a lot of those off-platform play designs for Milroe, just to keep the pocket, moving, or keep him, moving with the pocket. And I say that because you look at a game like you said, Texas A&M, when they were just blitz crazy, that what helped Milroe is his ability to step up in the pocket. That's when we started giving him credit. Like, dang, Milroe can actually step up and throw the ball.
He stepped up, manipulated defenders, and then boom, took his shots. It was a wrap.
And I think what Michigan is going to live with is, like you said, dropping out, giving those linebackers coverage assignment. I don't see a lot of spies happening for Milroe. I don't see like that 2-man spy look. Maybe one, weak side spy for the most part. But that middle of the field, Miro showed an ability to be able to hit that pass, man. It's him being able to hit that cross his face pass when he has pressure on him. That's been concerning to us the whole season. The one game where he did have success with it was against A&M. He hits Jermaine Burton on the slant because the corner's playing soft coverage. Is a hot read. You could tell it's a hot read. Jermaine Burton comes out 4-step, extended slant. Usually a quick slant is 1 or 2. He goes 4 to 6. I think it was 4. Playing on 6. He's coming across the middle, cutting across the face of the corner. Safety is 9 yards behind the corner, breaking late on the ball. He hits it in time. Burton catches the ball, splits the defenders, make them hit each other, scores. Coach Sean is in the building. But what's up, bro?
What's up with you guys, man? What y'all boys doing?
Nothing much.
In here breaking it down, man. But yeah, but like I said, I think this game, if Michigan does fall into that mindset defensively, that they're going to try to make Miro a pocket passer. Their tackles going to have to be able to create some havoc with Seth McLaughlin, our only weakness in the offensive line, and they're going to have to literally get home with 3 or 4, bro. That's the only way. It's just too much speed on the back end for them, man. They haven't seen it. I don't think you could practice that either. You don't even. Who on Michigan wide receiver room is running a 4-4, 4-3? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see any of those guys on Michigan's roster.
It's their slot. Their slot. Their slot. They kind of use him more as a flex. Right? Yeah, they use him as a flex sometimes, but he's pretty fast.
He's a burner, but where's his targets at, man? Where's
now he's a Kendrick Law. He's pretty much the Kendrick Law of their team. They use him on a lot of kind of pre-snap motion, a lot of like jet sweeps, but they don't really use him to really stretch the field vertically.
They're going to have to make Bama respect that, because they haven't made anybody else respect it. You get what I'm saying? The kid he's not doing Kendrick Law type numbers as far as production with when the ball touches his hand because he's not getting the ball like he should.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And,
He's a
and they're
decoy.
but they're going to have to use him if they want to find some type of success with their offense. But the fact that I don't see a team and Michigan. I want to give y'all a chance. Like y'all know me, I love good games. I'm the one in the chat in the live game day chat. When we in tight games, I'm the one. Oh yeah, we here for this. You know, game ain't over. I don't get that feel with this game, man. I really don't. I feel like it's gonna be another TCU bus type feel. Like I'm for real, Jay. And I've been looking at the film. I hate that we talk good football because every time I go back and look at the games, I'm like, dang, Otis gonna like this dude. Otis gonna blow this. Cause y'all said it last night. They're front. I was just looking at the tackles. That was the obvious, but left guard. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
Drake Nugent's going to help a lot. Nugent's it's going to be a lot of combo blocking, and I mean a lot, to try to compensate.
Does combo blocking? Well, it does. It did work good for Auburn when we ran the odd front. So that'll be another thing too we could talk about. Coach Sean, give us some spill, man. Me and Jay been going at it. Everybody, we had to bring some heat this morning. They said we was being too nice the last couple of shows, so we brought some heat this morning.
I mean, for me, man, it just comes down to the trenches. To me, I mean, it's sort of a stalemate if you really look at numbers. You know what I mean? They have the edge in certain little small spots. We got the edge in most of the others. To me, it just comes down to, can they stop our run game consistently enough to put Jalen Milroe in bad situations? And if they do, can Jalen Milroe excel in those bad situations? I can tell you now, we're probably going to face some third and longs because I think their run defense is really good. Me personally, I think Michigan's run defense may be just as good as Georgia's if you're looking number wise, right? But does number wise really coagulate to the field? I don't know in this situation because the teams are so similar in what they do. So to me, can we block them? Can they block us? Can we get pressure on their quarterback? Can they get pressure on ours? And which quarterback can make sure that he does the right things? I can tell you right now, though, Jim Harbaugh is definitely going to use some different things with JJ McCarthy. He almost is forced to, right? You can't line up and play Alabama the way you did Ohio State or Penn State and, run the ball with both of these guys over and over and over and over and over and expect to and just play a defensive game. You got to try to score some points against Alabama. Alabama presents a different challenge on offense, and I really believe that he's going to throw us a couple of curveballs early with JJ McCarthy to try to throw our defense off balance. He's almost compelled to. So I really believe it comes down to the trenches and whether Jalen Milroe can make the pass that we need on third down, and whether we can stop their quarterback from making his.
And that's a great point you bring up. That third and pass, we talked a little bit about it last night, and I brought the numbers. And like I said, like I was just telling Coach Jay, those were just the last 6 games of the season where you saw, meaningful games being played. Identities are somewhat established as far as who your offense is, what your defense is, how the teams, gel to win and do what they do. And you look at the identity part of it. Like you said, all right, Coach Jay, we see you. Like you said, man. He said, "Thank you for being logical, Coach Jay. You must be a Michigan fan." Coach Jay got you tricked. I'm sorry. I hate to spoil it. Appreciate the super chat. He's only doing it. But anyway, yeah, man. I just don't think he come back on with this smirk on his face. But I just like you said, man, I just don't see it being a complete matchup problem for 4 quarters. And the thing is, Jim Harbaugh comes out with the wrinkles and stuff. That works better to Kevin Steele and our defensive personnel wise works better to their advantage. You want them trying everything while we fresh. We ain't ran 50, 60 plays we ain't had 50, 60 snaps on the defensive side because that's what Texas was able to do. Texas was able to stick with what they did. It wasn't efficient, but it was enough to keep extending drives or get to a point where they could change field position. And so in the second half, when we thought we had a bead on it, that's when they just came every drive with a new wrinkle. I don't think Michigan has the ability to do that based off what we've seen the past 6 weeks. But if they did, I think it works in favor of Bama just for just for the simple fact, mentality wise, focus wise, beginning of the game, you're usually questioning everything anyway, so you're hesitant to move, especially on the back end. The DBs, they know how important. I believe they know how important their run support job is this game, because they know that's what Michigan wants to establish. But when you're there, you're hesitant to jump a play because it's the beginning of the game. You're not sure what they done tried to work in. You're trying to make sure you're seeing what you're seeing from the film study. All of those things are a factor. And I would rather have my guys fresh, mind-wise, mentally, seeing those things in the first quarter. I would love for Jim Harbaugh to double pass on second and third, second and 3, trying to take a big shot just to throw us off. I would love to see it, but
So,
is it going to happen?
So let me ask you guys a question. Let me be objective. Let me take the Michigan side. I'm Mike Ford. I'm down with you today, Mike. Come on, Mike. Let's roll on these Bama people. All right. We don't believe your quarterback can beat us deep. I don't care what he does on his feet. He want to get 130 yards. That's fine, right? I don't care that your quarterback can run around. We're going to defend the deep ball. We're going to play you like Georgia did. We may commit a spy. We may not. We won't commit 2. I tell you that, right? But we're going to play you deep. We're going to play coverage over the top. We don't think he can hit us deep. We're going to protect the deep ball, and we don't believe he can beat us throwing intermediately, right? So you can have all your meshes and all of that you want to. We're just not going to let you run the ball and throw the deep ball. How are you going to score on us? Coach Jay?
Yeah, I'm over here. I'm typing on 2 computers. But
thank you.
Mike was muted. No, that was my question. That literally was one of the first things that I asked. That was one of the first things I asked was how like this, because for the most part, it seems like the only way for the win is because Tommy Rees, there's no question about it. He is going to scheme open dudes open underneath, out routes, comebacks, slant, inside slants. A lot of the short to intermediate routes, his designs is going to free up somebody. The question is, does Jalen Milroe see it? Does he see it? And this is not a diss to Milroe. This is pure objectivity.
This is facts. Yeah,
he does not see it consistently. He has missed those initial.
We said that
reads.
the whole season, man. Like that's not a surprise to anybody or even us real Bama fans. The thing is his ability to, in those moments where he's missed those reads, like I said last night, it's not causing us to lose. You know what I'm saying? In those moments, it's not. My thing is, I would hate it for it to be a year like where Tua, because he's in a bad situation, just throw it up. That year, those turnovers, it would be like, man, thank God we had Tua, but at the same time, man, Tua, what are you doing? Just live, because the next play is there. And I think Milroe with this break off, man, it presents a different window. Like, I want y'all to go back and watch the LSU game. Look how comfortable he was. And they came out early. They were trying to make him be a quarterback, and he was comfortable in his decision making. And I think that game was probably, as far as snaps, production per snap, was his highest up until that point in the season, because there were only 3 plays in that whole first half where it resulted in negative yards, and 2 of them were not him. There were, runs that were stopped at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, and the 1 sack that he took in the first half of the LSU game. So, I don't know. I like the question because I think it's an easy answer.
We can flip. Must say just real quick. We can flip around with JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy, can he kill us with the deep ball? Because that's his struggle.
That's what I was just about to say. Let's flip.
He is very good when it comes to short intermediate situations, or I should say the sample size that he has. But the question is can you beat him? And I think Alabama, they're going to commit. I think Alabama could potentially commit their resources, saying we're gonna take away your biggest strength. We know JJ, and for Michigan fans, and maybe Mike can attest to this. Michigan, they believe that JJ McCarthy has a cannon of an arm, that it's NFL caliber. And listen, like I said, I talked about it before, there were instances and there were some game tapes where he made unbelievable throws that very few quarterbacks, maybe Drake May and Caleb Williams, could make. Like, he made some incredible throws, but it's not as consistent because he puts either too much air on it, he puts way too much torque on it. It's not as consistent. So that's my question is, if we take away your short to intermediate game, can you beat us? Because you're going to have to throw the football down the field.
It's a
So
good question.
and that's why I always continue to say, guys, this is not going to be a close game because one of these quarterbacks are going to falter. It's either Milroe or it's McCarthy. This is not like a Bo Nix versus a Michael Penix where both, of course, they have their own faults, they have their own weaknesses, but they can compensate for it. They can definitely compensate for those weaknesses, and yet you can have a shootout. This is not this game
Okay,
with these two
coaches.
high-level
Oh, go
defenses.
ahead, Coach Moore. Go ahead.
Hold on, Sean. I got a question for Coach Jay. You just said something that I've been trying to make a point about. In this game, one quarterback can compensate for something. They've been able to do it multiple times this season. The other one we have yet to see do it at a high level. And of course, I'm in favor of Miro being able to do it and McCarthy. In this game here, with the amount of time to prep, the what you've seen as far as development wise from both quarterbacks, and not being a fan, who presents realistically, who presents the ability to bring that extra factor in this game if it comes down to it, in your opinion?
Oh, I agree with you. I agree 1,000%. But I want to pose this question. I agree. If my eggs are in the basket, Milroe has played.
Milroe.
Milroe has played better competition as far as defensive side of the ball. Milroe. I mean, if you really a Michigan fan and you really want to talk ball, like we're not just trolling and not having fun. We really want to let's peel the layers back. You have to be honest with yourself and realize Michigan is not. Y'all probably have faced two defenses that were worth a flip, man. Like really, even Joe Klatt, as much as he hate Bama, agreed with my sentiment. He was like, Michigan really hadn't seen anyone like Jalen Milroe. You can't replicate it with that guy. I saw that quarterback that you guys have that's supposed to be Jalen Milroe-ish.
Yeah, I mean he's a freak athlete, but it's different because Jalen Milroe's the one thing they never take into account is his passing ability.
Exactly.
You can't just replicate his ability to throw the football effectively and efficiently.
So I want to ask you guys this. If I'm Michigan and I take everything you guys said into account, and I said, okay, I'll take the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Right, as long as we can keep it 3rd and 5. I'll take the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I'll even punt a couple of times. What if I tell you that I don't have faith? I know you guys pass rushes are awesome, right? So I don't want to be in 3rd and long ever, if I can help it, right? Because I know Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell and Quindarius Robinson, and the way Bama brings pressure could cause us some issues with the type of offense we run. We don't have those world beaters outside, and we can just beat you like Texas. They can make us pay like Texas did when you bring pressure and you don't get there. Okay, what if I say I'm cool with that? As long as I can keep the chains in decent perspective, punt if I have to, as long as we have good field position on the punt. And I'll play coverage like that. I'll let you have all of that all day. I'll take a 14-17 game if I'm Michigan. If we go in with that game plan, how does Alabama adjust to that?
Yo, I am typing on the wrong screen again. My fault. My answer to that would be you have to actually do that. You know what I'm saying? If it's possible. We saw, I think Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken, tried to slow the game down and rely on what's the guy's name? Ray Davis, the running back.
Yeah.
Devin Leary, they didn't put him in a lot of drop back situations. They kind of minimized the effectiveness of our edges, especially our edges. They made the interior work more than what they should have been working. And that was one of the games where we were kind of like, we were glad that Trez Marshall wasn't out there because Campbell had a heck of a game. And that was also the game we got to see Blackshire come out and get a lot of action too. So I think just the way that Alabama has been tested up until this point in the season with having to mix and match personnel groupings, especially on the defensive side. I went back and I watched the Auburn game. I forgot. I didn't forget, but Jaheim Otis was hurt. But Tim Keaton didn't play a lot of snaps in the Auburn game.
Yeah,
he didn't play a lot of yeah. And then even in the Georgia game, we had a a 2 deep rotation on the interior. It was like consistent. It didn't matter, it was like a set number of plays, and it didn't matter where we were on the field. You at some point you might see Latham out there with Keenan, or you might see Latham with Otis, or Payne with Otis. It was like a good mixture of this 4 or 5 man rotation we see on the interior / end position. And I think that's going to be a factor, because if they're going to depend on the run, try to keep it to third and short passing or third and
Yeah.
short. I think that plays into our favor. You know how the DBs like to crash on the ball. They rather play things in front of them rather than trying to defend some downfield anyways, especially our safeties in Malachi Moore and Jalen Key. I really hope Christian Story gets a shot this game. I really hope he gets a
I
lot of
bet you
reps.
they have Key out there. I bet you they do.
I
Yeah,
know he's
Christian
going to play
Story is perfect for this game. He's
for
the
this
perfect fit for this
game,
game.
man.
Facts.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Personnel wise, this is a playoffs. We've seen Saban make those calls in these games. He's made those personnel switches in these games, and people that have been thrown into the fire in these type of games are the ones that end up. A Christian Story, who's a 4th-year guy, ain't probably ain't getting no draft looks right now or no serious day 1 looks or day 2, day 3 looks. 2 solid games in big games like this because Coach Saban made a decision to go with the guy that knows the system, that is confident in what he's doing. It'll set him up to go ahead and leave. And he's not a day 1 guy. He might want to go. He just be a contract guy. He just want to make the roster. He can be Christian Story will create value later on. So it's these type of games, bro, that we've seen in Michigan at least twice this season. They just wasn't wearing Michigan uniforms. That's to simplify it. So if they came out with that strategy, I think we fared pretty well as far as just being able to change personnel up. And Kevin Steele has shown us consistently what he can do when he has the right personnel on the field.
You know, the one concern I have, and it's not really a concern, it's just it's potentially could happen. It's actually happened to us in the past. And I know we don't run the same type of offense with Bryce or Tua or even Jalen. I will say Michigan is a run first team, no matter what look they show you. I'm concerned about them getting in sync before we do. If we try to come out throwing the ball, right? That run game always puts you in sync, right? If you can have some success in the run game, everything else just falls into place like a puzzle. I hope we don't come out throwing too early when we do have some run looks available, right? Let us get in rhythm. Or if you do pass, let's get him on some throw behind the line of scrimmage type short, quick route stuff to get him in rhythm. Because this long layoff, man, as we all know who played the game at any level, high school, when you off like that, practice don't really replicate what happens in the game. It does, but it doesn't speed wise. So I'm hoping we whatever we do, we can get back in sync real quick and it don't take us too daggum long.
I gotta come at Mike for this one. He said he not sold on Steele. Talk a lot of the hype up to the fact that he's not golden. Do your research, Mike. You say you watch football. Kevin Steele has. Did you see what he was able to do and maintain with that Miami defense I think he was there for like 9 games or some crazy junk like that, 10 games. That defense was in shambles. I mean, they had just lost probably the guy that could have took the job, T-Rob. Wasn't T-Rob at Miami before he came to Bama?
Yeah, he was DB coach, yeah.
I mean, he could have took the DC job, but they went out and got Steele to basically manage the defense as the head coach. Kevin Steele at Auburn, man. Auburn was probably the only defense that consistently gave us fits no matter what offense we brought to the every year.
That's the only defense that held Gerald. That's the only defense that held 2019 LSU to under 24 points.
The only one. Only one. Kevin Steele historically. I mean, even his first run at Bama was a intricate part to Kirby Smart's development. Any defensive coordinator that's been through Bama or defensive coach that's been through Bama during Kevin Steele's time or had any run-ins with Kevin Steele will tell you how in-depth and how intricate he comes and what he brings to the table as far as value, being able to decipher personnel, create mismatches. There's not many defensive coordinators that create mismatches on defense that know how to set your defensive key guy up to be a wrecking ball. I've never seen somebody scheme a defensive tackle as nasty as Kevin Steele does. The way
I got a stat for him right here, Smoot.
Yeah.
I got something for him, Mike. And I done this breakdown. I was going to say it on the other show, but I forgot. My note got lost. The reason why Alabama's defense is not ranked where it should be is because of those first 5 games, right? The Texas game really skewed the stats a little bit. If you do your research on the last 6 games, Alabama's in the top 5 in every category.
Every category. I said this yesterday, man.
It's a whole fact. Think about it. What I'm saying, Mike. The last 6 games, Alabama's defense is ranked in the top 5 in dadgum every category, bro. The numbers get, if you know numbers, they got skewed because of the first couple of games, right? So think that if you like.
Bama would be top. I think that they're ninth. Because I'm looking right here. They're ninth. They're ninth in the country in the second half of the season in defense. In total in every defense. Every possible statistical category they're top 10 in, and for the second half of the season.
Total defense and offense, they are in top 10s for both categories. That says a lot from a team that literally went from, I think, 61 ranked offense coming into that LSU game, and then to go from 61. I think we ended the season at 29 for the whole season, or 31. I can't remember. I don't have my notes. I closed the computer down. But I think we ended the season at 29-31. But when you break it down to, like you said, Coach Sean, that last 6 weeks, which is what I made my clip on, that last 6 weeks is important. If you look at trends historically from the past 4 seasons, teams have been more consistent with the last 6 weeks of production, with injuries, including transfers, all of that. They've been more in line with their last 6 weeks of production than they were in their first 3 weeks. And that's how it's been forever. You don't know who your team is in the first 3 weeks of college of football in any level. You don't know who your team is. You play more than 6 games, you kind of just start getting a feel around game 5. Really, if you're a team with, especially the amount of moving pieces that was happening this offseason, new coordinators, new starting quarterback, unproven guys on the offensive line, a bunch of young talent on the defense that was unproven. You got, key veterans in key spots that was able to help along with the development. This is a different game because of those small things that matter, bro. This is what I kept trying to say. Milroe is one of those small things that matter. I don't think Michigan is ready for a Milroe. That's that one small thing that matters. And everybody's talking about his legs. I just don't think they're ready for Milroe in general, what he presents. He makes you hesitate when you talk about defending him. As a defensive coordinator, as a player on the field, you hesitate in what you call when you're defending Milroe. And because of that, and it's time off, I think it's set up for Michigan to get blown out, man.
Can I ask our bad? Yeah, facts. Can I ask our resident troll Carlos a question? And Carlos, all trolling, said, I want you to give me an answer in the chat. I want you to put an answer in the chat on some real stuff, Carlos. You say about we played Middle Tennessee and Auburn, put up this whoop de wham. I looked at y'all schedule, right? We all know preseason rankings are what they are. Preseason rankings, right, Coach J, right, Coach Smooth? They just preseason rankings. The end of the season tells you what teams are dominating, what teams are not. Right, Carlos? We all can agree on that. You look at Michigan's schedule. I want you to give me one team outside of Ohio State. And please don't give me Penn State. I know they rank, but give me a team outside of Ohio State that's still ranked, that's been ranked all year, that's won at least 9 to 10 games, who ranked in the categories, right? If you say Penn State, then I'm going to clearly know you just throwing a stat out there. I want you to think about this. LSU was ranked in the preseason. They still ranked. Ole Miss was ranked in the preseason. They still ranked. Tennessee was ranked in the preseason. For all their ups and downs, they're still ranked. Georgia was ranked in the preseason. They're still ranked. Texas is ranked in the preseason. They're still ranked. We've played them all. We played them all, bro. We're the only team. Georgia, to me, is a playoff team, right? We the only team to have played 2 teams that could possibly be in the playoffs right now. Look at Michigan's schedule. Don't you talk to me about no Middle Tennessee when I see UNLV on your schedule. Like, come on, bro. Like, you let's be real, dog. You guys have a schedule with 1 game on the whole schedule, right? You play Ohio State at the end of the year, right? That's it. Penn State is awful, bro. They've been awful. They're gonna always be awful. They're always overrated. They're Texas A&M to me. They're always fast. Yes, they always have these high expectations. Watch how Ole Miss dump truck them. Watch. And I'm gonna give you a little nugget right here. If you ain't careful, if you're not careful, Missouri gonna beat Ohio State, right?
It ain't if they careful. They are going to beat Ohio State. Did you see how Missouri played Georgia? Did you see how they played Georgia? Yeah, that running back from Missouri is Blake Corum,
Cody Schrader
2.0. Coach J. He's actually if I want to say build and makeup wise, that's Blake Corum, and we saw what Blake Corum did to Ohio State. We saw what he was able to do, and I think Blake Corum was hurt that game too. I think Blake Corum had suffered an injury early
Mhm.
in their game and still finished the game. But I think Missouri matches up good with Ohio State, bro. Like I think if especially with Kyle McCord being gone, and is Marvin Harrison suiting up for the game?
No, he's not
I don't
playing.
know.
Ah, dead in the water.
I have no answer from Carlos yet.
Carlos ain't gonna talk football, man.
I don't think.
Out of
I
here.
don't even think. Yeah, to be. Well, we all know. I mean, well, for Devin Brown's take it. I have no clue about these bowl games and what's going on because Devin Brown is probably suiting up and being the starting quarterback. I don't even think Emeka Ibuka's playing. I don't even know if
I
Cade
thought I
Stover's
thought
playing.
I thought Devin Brown transferred.
No, he's no Kyle McCord transfer. He's at Syracuse
Okay,
now.
yeah. I'm thinking about what you call the backup quarterback transferred.
Let me hit him with this. You said our schedule absolutely terrible. You never know. No, Carlos. This is not about stats, brother. Listen to what I'm asking you. Listen to what I'm asking you. Out of all the teams you've played, right? I'm going through you guys' schedule. And if you need me to, I'll say the teams, right? I'm asking you, Carlos, who have you played on your schedule that can prepare you for Alabama? That's what I'm asking you. And you give me Penn State, I'm gonna ignore you for the rest of this stream.
That's a simple question, Carlos. Like literally, we could tell you who Alabama has played that prepares for what we think Michigan
Facts.
presents.
1,000,000% facts. That's what I'm
Texas
trying to. Yeah.
Kentucky, Arkansas, Ole Miss, all the different things that you all like do with your personnel, the wrinkles that we might see. We've seen just about everything that your personnel and what your offensive coordinator and your head coach likes to see on the field. We've seen it multiple times in some phase with better athletes and at least one better quarterback.
Yeah, Georgia, and I always kind of keep talking about this before. Georgia resembles Michigan probably better than any opponent that I would say Michigan has played in Alabama. Because what does Georgia do? What does Georgia like to do? They like to play with a lot of 12, 13 personnel, particularly with their tight ends. Now, last year's team resembles this Michigan team damn near to a T because of the type of tight ends that personnel wise they present. Like Michigan has two, they have their own version of a kind of
Brock Bowers and Delp.
I wouldn't even really say a Bowers. I'll say more like a Delp. And then they have their Darnell Washington, which is their TE1. That's their Darnell Washington that can simply he could be a tackle right now, and he could be an all Big Ten type player. That's how good he is as a blocker.
In wrapping up with Carlos, I want you to listen to this real quick, Carlos. Real quick. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Dam Green, Rutgers, something called Rutgers, Nebraska, who Colorado beat, Minnesota, who rowing the boat and ain't been good in football in 4 years, Indiana, who's got a basketball team at least, Michigan State, whose coach is somewhere on some other stuff, Purdue, who's terrible, Penn State, who's Texas A&M, Maryland, who almost beat you, right? And they presented a different type of offense and almost beat you, right? Ohio State, and finally the overrated Iowa, who's Tennessee. If you tell me right now that based off getting through that schedule that you think you got a chance against Alabama, you are clueless. It's a reason why you guys went undefeated a couple years ago, went and played Georgia and got your blood splattered all against the walls, right? It wasn't even a football game, right? It's a reason for that, Carlos. It's a reason why you get through that Big Ten. See, that Big Ten fool y'all. It fool y'all. You get through that schedule and you think I heard this from Ohio State fans, probably more than anybody else. Remember that year we had the COVID year?
Yeah.
Ohio State only played 6 games, right? This was Ohio State before the game. We're Ohio State. We play in the Big Ten. We should be.
We don't need 12 games to prove
facts.
we're one
We
of the
don't
top.
need 12 games. We're Ohio State. 6 games is good enough. Ohio State after the game. Well, scratches their head. We only played 6 games, So, brother, no disrespect to Michigan. I think Michigan's a great program, right? But that Big Ten fool you. It fool you on a national scale until you played it. If you was in the SEC right now and had to play LSU, had to play Ole Miss, had to play Tennessee, had to play Georgia, had to play those schools back to back to back, I can assure you it presents way more bumps in the road than UNLV, East Carolina, Bowling Green, and something called Rutgers. Stop it, Carlos. I like you, though. You try. I give you an A for effort, brother. You try. Shout out to you.
Hey, what I will highlight though, and Jay, you said it earlier too about Michigan and their final 6 games. Seeing Ohio State, Penn State, Maryland, those were probably the most competitive teams that could possibly match up with them. I'm just looking at what Alabama has faced in the top 25 final rankings, what Michigan has been able to face, and that would give a Michigan fan a lot of confidence seeing that a few of their teams in that conference are still in the top 25. My rebuttal to that would be look at how those games fared, look at the stats where they rank it, and Alabama blowing these other teams that you beat by one score, blowing them out the water statistically. But you look at our close games against Auburn, against Michigan, against Arkansas, the only team that you're blowing out the water in stats statistically, even against A&M, the only team you're blowing out the water is statistically Michigan, and being able to say, well, y'all struggle with this team since y'all like to use transitive property. Y'all struggle with this team. Y'all are producing similar stats to Arkansas when it comes to playing teams ranked in the top 50 when it as far as defenses. Y'all are producing similar offensive stats. Ohio State was another team that was able to keep y'all off of your explosive offense that you claim to have, and you only beat them by a score. The competition level is different. Is a fact. You can turn the games on. That's why the SEC is the most watched conference in the nation.
Fact.
And regionally, it's not even from your southeast where most of your viewers come from. Midwest, West Coast, they love to watch SEC football. Is what you see early in the day. It's a reason why and it ain't just because of time zone. It's a reason why you see a lot of SEC, ACC, SEC, Big Ten matchups as marquee matchups early in the season, because they know where the money is. It's in the SEC, and they know where the competition is. It's in the SEC. They know where you're going to see your next NFL stars. Most of them coming out of the SEC. And to Coach Jay's point, they're going to be coming from y'all little conference every now and then. But it's just a different brand of football, y'all. And
it's a whole fact.
If you're a real football fan, you can admit that ever since the SEC has been formed, probably for the last 20 years, man, it has been the conference. It has been the conference.
I'll say this real quick, Coach Jay, and I'll let Coach Jay battle Carlos on this one. What team, and this is a trivia question, Carlos, and all the Michigan fans. It's not a hard trivia question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When you play at Bama, you get prepared for the NFL. Now, a lot of teams send people to the NFL, right? But in this conference, Alabama had 60-plus draft picks last year, which was more than some team. I can remember one year, it was like 50-something out of one, or 40-something out of one division, out of when we had East and West, and it was more than most people's conference, right? You look at the NFL level and you see the skills that these guys are taught in college. It's a team out there that's had most Pro Bowlers and most All-Pros for the third year straight. I ain't even gonna say what team they come from. We already know. You know what I mean? You got these universities that claim DBU, wide receiver U, quarterback. Guess what Bama is? It's just NFL-U, bro. You know what I mean? You want to go DBs? We can do that all day. We can go back and forth all day right now. With every DB you can give me from your school, I can give you 2, guaranteed. You want to do quarterbacks? We can do that. You want to do defensive linemen? We can do that. You want to do whatever position you want to do, brother, we can do it, right? My point is, when you play Alabama on Monday, you're going to be playing the best. You can talk about us being trash in the Auburn game and all that. You can't hold the Auburn game over Alabama's head if you're not going to hold a Florida game over Florida State's head, right? It's a rivalry game. Maryland ain't your rival. I thought Ohio State was, right? You casually skip that Maryland game where your team looked terrible. Right? Pedestrian. If Tua hadn't been in gift mode, you'd have lost that game. You'd have lost that game, bro.
You could say the Iowa game too. I mean
Iowa game,
right? Iowa too.
Even though Michigan won that game, I think 24-3. I mean, we all know the Iowa's defense played amazing that game. The problem was their offense. The offense couldn't cross the 50. That was Iowa's problem.
That was the case for a lot of Michigan's opponents this whole season, bro. They just there were very few offenses that said, okay, we have a quarterback, we have a running back, and a wide receiver where we could create 6 plays a game. They didn't face a lot of offenses that were able to produce one big play a quarter. Alabama, Tommy Rees, the way he likes to call the offense, he's aiming for 2 big plays. If he gets 3 drives in a quarter, you get what I'm saying?
Get that
going. QB, not historically.
Mike, no, hold on. I got the smoot. Mike, I'll ask you a question, Mark, because like I said, we've been having good chemistry all throughout the stream, Mike. But let me ask you, how many Hall of Fame NFL quarterbacks do you have?
From Michigan? Oh my God, one maybe. Oh, Mike, I'm sorry, my bad, my bad.
I mean, you have Tom Brady. Alabama has 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks right now. I mean, Bart Starr, Kenny Stabler,
How
Joe
many
Namath.
starting quarterbacks they got in the NFL
I
right
mean,
now?
exactly. How many? You can't
Chad
name the
Henne
starting
ain't
quarterbacks.
starting, bro.
Chad Henne isn't there.
Guys,
What's up?
I'm sorry, I had to step away. I was looking for Mike's brain. I felt like he lost it for a second. I had to go.
Fact. You can't be
Look,
serious, Mike.
you can't be.
Come on now.
Historically, recent history, Alabama has been the most consistent staple in college football. Historically, I was on the show. Shout out to Rick Morton from Tide World Order. Shout out to him, TWO. If y'all haven't, go check out their YouTube. They're doing some amazing things on their side. But he was talking about Alabama's history in college football in general. People forget, like, our dark age, our recession was I think 11-year span where we just were not national champs. I think the biggest span between national championships for Alabama as far as current BCS era up until now, dating back to the 80s. I can't remember the stat. I need somebody to go fact check me. But dating back to the 80s, I think Alabama has only had 5, 6 losing records as far as losing seasons. And they all came during 94, but I mean between 97 and 2006, 2007. I want to believe.
No, 7. We had a winning record in 07, but it wasn't
07.
It wasn't.
We lost
the
it.
best year.
Monroe was the biggest loss when Saban got there. But Michigan has had, I think, 4 or 5 losing seasons in the past 10 years. You get what I'm saying? So at Alabama, we lose 2 games last year, and everybody's writing us off as if, come on, man. That just tells you the difference as far as who's been efficient, who's been relevant, who's been consistent, and who hasn't. Michigan, y'all have y'all conference. There's a reason why y'all not gonna leave that conference. Y'all need to stay there.
I think what Carlos is doing is what the nation does. When you hear Carlos talk, it's the nation saying you're not as good. Guess what that means, Carlos? You're saying we're not as good as past Bama teams. Look who you're comparing us to, past Bama teams. But here's where your mistake comes in, Carlos, my friend. We don't have to be good as the past Bama teams. All we got to be good is everybody else in college football, and they clearly are, right? So that's your problem, Carlos. You're comparing us. You're trash. Alabama is 12-1, brother, in the toughest college football conference that one can imagine, right? The only team to beat us, who we scored 2 touchdowns on, that got called back, gotta say that, is in the playoffs too. What the hell are you talking about, right? So
what team?
Say that
again. Say that again.
The only team to beat us is in the playoffs, bruh. So let me say this, Carlos. I try not to go back too far in history, even though we know Bama dominated history, because some of the younger kids, like when I'm around these high school kids, they're completely clueless with anything past 2000, right? So I try to keep it within the due bounds of how old freshmen are. Freshmen in college are 17, some 18 years old, right? So I try to keep it within 17, 18. We just say a decade to round it off, right? In the last decade, Carlos, no kid has no recollection of your team ever even winning a damn thing. Nothing. They don't have I had to tell some Miami fans this. No kid is walking around the hall talking, yeah, I'm going to Miami. That only happened because of the NIL days stuff. Before the NIL and before you got a $500,000 for attending, nobody has no recollection of your school even being good, brother. Like, let's stop this notion and this talk of Bama's trash. No, you're comparing Bama to past Bama teams. I think the nation is, we're just not the same. Alabama is 12-1, brother. You know what I mean? And it's good enough to beat your team, to beat any other team in this playoffs. And that is all good they have to be. Get your mind right. The truth is in the details, Carlos. Do you research?
Usually when you're able to beat the number 1 team in the nation, I mean, and not, this wasn't a fluke game. This was a hard fought game when we beat Georgia. This was 2 good teams out there putting it out there on the field. Two high end offenses at this point of the season.
Should have
At
been a
that point of the
blowout.
season, it's going to be. It should have been a blowout. That's the thing.
Should have been a blowout.
But to know where our numbers are ranking us, the last 6 games of the season, like we were talking about early, and to see how that game played out, just imagine what we're going to do when the numbers, because the numbers tell you where to look. If Miro was having success against Georgia, no turnovers, should have had 4 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing at a minimum. You know what I'm saying? Even the play, you remember the one where he went over the line and came back. I was like, bro, you that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. You 4-4, 4-3. That's a touchdown.
Yeah,
keep it. But his mentality, man, is what I believe now because of that 3 weeks. Michigan really going to have to do something different on the offense because their defense is probably going to last for maybe 3 or 4 drives. And like you said, Coach Sean, if they mess around and let Alabama get in the rhythm early, that's not good for Michigan.
It's a whole fact.
I expect us to struggle on that first drive, Coach Sean. I mean, Coach Jay. I expect us to struggle on the first drive. If we get the ball first and we go out there and score, I'm gonna be pissed off. I'm not pissed off as a fan, but as a football, somebody that wants to see a good playoff football game, like I just seen for the SEC championship and the Iron Bowl. I'm gonna be pissed off if Miro and those guys go out and score crazy because this ain't an Auburn team that can run the ball any which way they want to because their run scheme is just that nice under Hugh Freeze. This is a Michigan team who wants to try to impose their will and outman you. You're not outmanning Alabama. Georgia couldn't do it 2 years ago.
Yeah, Mike, I see what you're trying to say in the comment section, but this is in a way, I mean, we can flip it with JJ McCarthy. You know, Carson Beck, you're right. Carson Beck, in a way, tried to hand Alabama the blowout, and we didn't take, I mean, of course, we won the game, but we should have won that game by 2 or 3 scores. They're wide open opportunities. But we can say, but again, JJ McCarthy.
Against
JJ McCarthy can do the same thing, right? JJ McCarthy literally tried to give the game away to Maryland, tried to give the game away. He threw 2 interceptions against Bowling Green. You know, tried to give the game away against Ohio State. We've seen Bowling games Green. where these quarterbacks have done this. It's just all about taking full of opportunities. It's all about taking full advantage of opportunities. And this is why I'm saying, man, I can't sit up here and say it's going to be a close game between these 2 quarterbacks because one has to play great. I think one quarterback this game has to be heads over heels. And both these guys have outstanding talent. Both these guys have an outstanding ability, but they've also gotten similar struggles where they don't take full advantage of opportunities given to them. So that's kind of been my point the whole time of why I think whoever is going to be the winner of this game is going to win the game by at least 2 scores.
Yeah, and like I said a blowout earlier. I don't think the score is going to indicate a blowout. I just say I think kind of like how we handle Georgia. If you look at the Georgia game and how it played out, Alabama controlled that game the whole game. Missed opportunities and still maintained a decisive margin. It was never a question of if Alabama could go ahead, you know, or would Alabama be able to score if they needed to. It was those times where we should have scored and could have used the score to pad that lead a little bit and just to make it a true blowout where we weren't able to capitalize. But Georgia presents opportunities. They present different things that throw in your face. They show pre-snap looks. Us from the sky view, looking at it from the sidelines, we can see things a lot easier than what Jalen Miro could see. He got 2 guys. He got a 6'7" left tackle out there in front of him. He got a 6. I think Booker is 6'5". Latham is 6'5", 6'6". Jaden Roberts is 6'6". Like, you got these big old, the smallest offensive lineman is your center, and he's not throwing across the middle a lot. You know, most of his pressure is coming from the edges. You know, it's hard to decipher those things when you've been thrown into the fire like Jalen Miro was, but he continued to get better. My thing is this month layoff, man, it's not good for anybody with the way Jalen Miro, Tommy Reese, and this offense is trending. It's not good for any defense. We saw LSU missing all the guys they had, still had quality guys out there, and we saw how comfortable Miro looked that whole game. That game was more so on the defense being able to stop Jaden Daniels 2 or 3 times so that we could have an opportunity to get those extra possessions. This is not one of those games where your offense presents that much of a threat to our defense to make us stress and to make us change what we like to do offensively. It just doesn't.
I'll say this
Mm-hmm.
too, Coach Mook. I'll give these guys some bad news, and this is not just for Michigan fans. This is for the country. The bad news is you look at Alabama this year. We turned the corner around LSU, Tennessee, whatever game we want to say they turned the corner. Here's the bad news for you. Next year, Jalen Milroe's back. Our running back room is set. Possibly 4 of 5 offensive linemen back. All the tight ends back. Isaiah Bonds, excuse me, back. Kendrick Law back. Don't even get me on the defense. We'll lose some secondary help, but a lot of the people that's going to be starting are in the rotation. So don't look now, bro. Don't look now. But you got some bad news with Alabama here in the next year or two.
And the sad thing is, man, as relevant as Michigan wants to be, what are they next year? I mean, right now, where's your recruiting class right now? Where
15th.
Exactly.
But to be fair, that's always been Michigan's class. So they don't produce top 10 classes. It's always 15, 20 classes, and then what they do is that they just get a bunch of juniors. Their backup players are going to be their starters, and they're like 5th year, 6th year type guys. That's how they operate.
Yeah,
Michigan is to me the Auburn of their conference, and I mean every 3 or 4 years you're going to see Auburn pop up on the scene and be a legit contender because the nucleus of guys that they can get in a certain recruiting class, when they do have a top 15, top 10 class, they could try to before NIL, they used to be able to keep those guys together. They were kind of forced to stay together. And so 3rd, 4th year, you got guys that's been in the system waiting on their turn, and now they're out there. They've got the system experience. They've got, the travel experience. They got all the day-to-day stuff down. It's about being an actual D1 player and being on that field and doing it at a high level.
Yeah, Mike just said it too. He just said it too.
Yeah.
Good point.
Carlos say this year Alabama is doomed and it shows. No, Carlos, doomed is what went on the screen and your team saw who they had to play. That's doomed, brother. When you said that,
Carlos said the same thing. No,
yeah.
They said the fans did the same thing. Ain't
that's
no way
doomed,
Bama get
brother.
it. But you know what? And this is off topic, not off topic, but this goes to show you. This is what makes me know that Alabama is a legit threat. When Florida State fans and Michigan fans got in arms,
joined together,
each other, holding hands, Alabama doesn't deserve to be in Michigan. If you're the better team, it shouldn't have mattered who got in. You're supposed to be the number 1 team.
Shouldn't have mattered.
So why Michigan fans out here complaining about having Alabama? Y'all wanted Florida State. Y'all knew y'all needed to have a backup quarterback and a bunch of other stuff that will go in y'all favor for y'all to look any type of legit like y'all been looking this whole season. Now y'all actually have to show up and play a meaningful game outside of Ohio State. It's more pressure on Michigan being the number 1 seed. I love the fact that we the number 4 seed. It's been last time we jumped into the playoffs is number 4 was the year we went in, tore up Clemson and Kelly Bryant, and then went to the national championship and handled our business.
Bama, we don't care who we play.
It don't matter. We've been We've been at every seed of the playoff since the playoff exists. We've been the number 1, number 2, number 3, and a number 4 seed. It's just about getting there. Because at that point, once we get in, it's a new season. Everybody's 0-0. It doesn't matter. And that mentality is different. Even somebody posted a picture about how they showed up to the Disneyland interviews and the welcome to the Rose Bowl event with the coaches and their team captains for their game, and just the look on Bama. Bama looks like they're together. They look like they're there to handle business. Michigan don't look focused, man. Coach Harbaugh looked like he was headed to a Wawa gas station with me. The way he was. I mean, just the presentation and everything matters, man. It speaks volumes of what your character is as a team, as an organization. And Alabama just seems to be on a different level of operating when it comes to this game, on the field, off the field, recruiting. I mean, the way it's just a lot going against Michigan as a whole. And this game is going to be I don't even think it's going to be a tale of two halves. I honestly believe if they mess up and they let Milroe come out and get any type of rhythm early, man,
if I'll say, Carlos, if going 12-1, winning the SEC as the SEC champion and only losing one game to a team that's ranked one spot ahead of you, that's also in the college football playoff, if that is classified as your doomed, then guess what? We'll take it. We'll
Right.
take it, bro.
I mean,
We'll take it.
Michigan 10-2, they're celebrating. Michigan 10-2, they're celebrating that they had a 10-2 season. Alabama 10-2, we're pissed off. We're going to a bowl game and blow out another conference champion. You know, in our bowl game, talking about most recent history, we blow out a conference champion in a bowl game. Michigan, you coming in, I mean, battle tested zero battle test. Ohio State was your I mean, Maryland was your battle tested game, and those teams do not present. I ain't gonna say that. They not Bama. They not Bama. And to keep it simple, they don't present the speed on the perimeter. Marvin Harrison, y'all had to triple cover him, double bracket cover him, and he still got his numbers, still got his looks with a subpar quarterback play. Travian Henderson should have had 150 plus rushing yards on y'all because he was averaging 6.2 yards per carry going into the second half. That game was not set up for Ohio State to win, but Michigan to win, but y'all pulled it out. Y'all was able to pull it out thanks to Kyle McCord. That offense doing stupid, crazy stuff, not going to the running back. Y'all was able to capitalize off of that. I don't think Tommy Rees, I don't think Kevin Steele, I don't think Coach Saban is going to present many opportunities for Jim Harbaugh to take the advantage. And I like the matchups. I like the matchups on the field. For real. I like the matchups on the field, head to head, in a lot of key areas. It's just it's some areas where there is no matchup. Their right tackle, their left and right tackle versus our edges. That's not a matchup. That's easy pickings for whoever of the four edges we line up outside want to go out there and eat. So it's going to be interesting, guys. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see. Carlos, please don't disappear, man. Please don't disappear. I swear, if you disappear, I'm gonna have to pull some of my resources and find out, who you are for real. Because I'm coming. I appreciate you for being here. You giving me so much energy, man, for my content after this game. I'm telling you, bro. I appreciate you. David Kendall with the $5 super chat, my boy David Kendall. I ain't see you in a few days, man. Where you been at? If Bama beats Michigan, they will be the only team to beat two teams ranked number one, and it will be back-to-back wins against number one ranked teams. With the $5 super chat, Roll Tide, David Kendall. Yeah, somebody else was saying that on ESPN too. This would be the first time ever, college football era or regular season. I think one year Auburn had an opportunity to do it in the regular season, but did they do it when they beat us in Georgia?
No, because they had I think they played an FCS school. They played I think they played like an FCS school, and then they played Alabama the next week.
Yeah, so it wasn't back to back, but yeah, yeah, man, that would be a little awesome accomplishment to have to put on the Nick Saban table. Hey, something I did want to talk about, since today is kind of like the long show, we get to kind of just sit here and dialogue. How y'all feel about these rumors with them talking about Nick Saban saying he gonna retire after they win the Natty?
They say it every year.
Yeah, he's not gonna retire. He's not retiring. And a big reason why is because of just his work ethic. The dude just wants to get better every single. Miss Terry even said it herself. Like, if Nick Saban isn't working, then it's like, if he's not working, then it's like that's his depression. Like, that's his own form of depression. It's him not working and getting in and just getting into. So is it a possibility that it does? Of course, it's always a possibility. You just never know what could happen. But even if he does retire, Nick Saban, it's not like he's going to be done. He's going to get right behind the scenes, and he's going to be involved in the program. He's probably going to get involved in Alabama hiring some of their coaching staffs. And so, I think if I had to give an estimation, I think Nick Saban, as long as he's feeling healthy, as long as he feels good, Miss Terry has no issue at all with Saban doing what he needs to do. Matter of fact, Miss Terry's more involved in the program than some other wives of other coaches out there. Like, she's heavily involved in the program. So I probably would give Nick Saban at least 5 years. Realistically, 5 years.
She's the creator of the founder of multiple foundations, and they do a lot for the city of Tuscaloosa. I don't think people realize what they do for the city of Tuscaloosa. They talk about them having their car dealership. If you watch their family story on the Sabans, that's what Coach Saban thought he was going to do. He thought he was going to be run his dad's gas station up in West Virginia, and that was going to gradually transition into being a car dealership. That's what he thought he was going to do. So, but what they're doing with their dealership, man, every sale that they make, man, it's like $2,400, $2,500 contribution to some foundation that supports, at-risk youth, inner city kids, because everybody thinks Tuscaloosa is a cool town, but you leave that campus,
All right.
better be
If
careful.
you know, you know. Yeah.
That's why they invested into that campus, keep them players on that campus. It's a
Mhm.
city for a reason. They call it the city of Bryant Denny for a reason, bro. It's a reason why they do that. And which leads me, like you said, Coach J, it leads me to feel like at some way, shape, or form, um, Coach Saban and Miss Terry might not be from Alabama, but they are Alabama, man. And I think they are so invested in the state of Alabama and the community. I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Saban pull a Tuberville and run for office, man. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I'm not saying it will, but I wouldn't be surprised. I want to get to the super chat real quick. They giving us crap about a rivalry game. Demaria Hamel Bell with the 199 super chat. Appreciate you. Let me guess. Auburn tested y'all, but it don't matter.
Let
I
me
guess.
get that one. Let me get that one.
Go ahead.
Demaria and Carlos and whoever else is still talking about Auburn. Let me explain something. I'm gonna keep it real rated G and basic right now. I'm not even gonna get into the plyometric of it, right?
Mm,
Auburn,
big words.
yeah, I'm not even gonna get to the nuts and bolts because I might lose you. So let me keep it real Dr. Seuss, right? Auburn is a rival of Alabama. Alabama has always struggled at Auburn, not with Auburn, at
At
Auburn, right? We had the year we went to the national championship against Georgia. We had to pull it out at Georgia on a last second Ja'Cory Brooks catch and a last second Mechie catch in overtime. That's nothing that's nothing abnormal. Miss
historical.
Daria and Carlos. Here's the thing what you're missing, though. You keep bringing up Auburn, this, that, and the third. Auburn is a spread offense, 5 wide, up tempo, which has always given us a little problems with this type of defense we run, right? You look over history, those type of defenses has given us a little issues, right? Especially what's his name? Hugh Freeze's offense,
Mm-hmm.
Gus Malzahn's offenses, those type of offenses spread you out 5 wide, quarterback keepers all day. You don't run anything like that, man. You keep your stuff in a phone book, no in a phone booth, no matter what the formation is. You have a select type of run plays and run style you guys have. You guys have a power offense, bro, which is what we specialize in, right? You don't run anything of any significance like Auburn, not even close. It's two different type and styles of offense, right? The type of offense that you guys run is what Alabama is built to stop, right? So I don't know how else I can explain it. You keep bringing up Auburn like that's going to help you Monday or something, but the reality of it is you're not Auburn. You don't run what Auburn has. It's not about whose team is better, right? Auburn does what we struggle with. You don't. Period.
And I'm literally watching clips from Alabama Auburn game, and you're right on point. The fact that they want to spread us out, they put spread personnel out there. They don't split their tight ends a lot. They
Right.
don't keep their tight ends on the field as much as Michigan does. Alabama will key on the fact that you have tight ends out there split, and they will leave our heavy set out there. I think Campbell and Braswell both have displayed the ability to cover in the short yardage situations. Braswell again beat in Tennessee game. You won't find another linebacker. You won't find many edge rushing linebackers in the nation that's going to be able to keep up with Squirrel Wright on a freaking basically a release route to the sideline. I guess you could call it like a fade wheel because he bend it kind of like he was running a out. It wasn't really an out and up, but uh, you won't find many linebackers that's able to stay in phase like Braswell was. And Squirrel White had to make an amazing catch, probably top 5, top 10 catches of the season. The way he was able to fingertips, drag the feet in the corner of the end zone, secure the ball, survive the catch all the way through the ground. Like that's a play you won't see happening a lot on any level. Michigan doesn't have those type of receivers to put our base personnel. And like Coach Jay said earlier, this is the type of game because you're going to rely on that 2 tight end set to. That's what your offense does. We don't have to bring in an extra DB. We could walk Caleb Downs or Malachi Moore down into the box and play one high, and we're going to make you have to beat us over top. What McCarthy doesn't like to do, what he's not very efficient at. He can do it, but he's not efficient at it, and it's just doesn't match up well. Michigan. If you're not going to give Auburn that credit, at least give Hugh Freeze his credit, because everywhere he's been able to produce solid offenses. I think his last stop was at UCF. Wasn't he at UCF? Liberty, my fault. Who's at UCF?
Gus Malzahn.
Gus.
Yeah. Even him, he gave us problems the way he would scheme up offense. I can't
whole
stand
fact.
Gus, man. And you know what's funny? I remember when they was talking about Gus Malzahn coming on as the OC for Bama. I was like, man, do y'all not understand what could happen with Coach Saban? I don't think Coach Saban never put his hands on nobody. Gus will be that dude, though. I think Coach Saban put his hands on Gus. So, but yeah,
it'll be fun though. I can't lie. That offense
Gus with Jalen
Milroe. That bring, that offense that he'll bring
with Nick. When they had the boy named
Nick Marshall.
Yeah, wasn't that Gus with Nick Marshall?
Yep. Took him to the national championship. That offense with Nick Marshall, Trey Mason as the running back, and that offensive line, like Gus Malzahn single-handedly made I forgot the first name, but Robinson. He single-handedly made Robinson into a top 3 overall pick because of the type of scheme that he was in on the offensive line. Like that offensive line was disgusting. Fast. Sammy Coates.
Yeah,
became everyone knew that Sammy Coates wasn't
against Eddie Jackson,
first round quality type player. Yeah,
he used to kill Eddie, man.
It was, but that's the intricacies of those type of coordinators. Auburn doesn't have that type of. I mean, not Auburn, but Michigan don't have that type of that coordinator. Nor do they have. I don't think they had those type of plays in their arsenal as far as what they're going to try to do to press Bama, to put pressure on Bama defensively.
Mike Ford said, if you have the speed you claim, why is the spread such a problem? Mike, this is what I say. I don't like to get too deep in it because I lose people. It ain't about the speed, Mike. It's about the matchup. It's about the up-tempo style. It's about not allowing us to get our sub package on down in distance-wise, and you just run the ball. It's about quarterback keepers. It's about things of that nature. It ain't about the speed, Mike. It's about the scheme, the schematic of how that offense is ran, coupled with the up-tempo style, the up-tempo, fast-paced, fastball speed. You guys don't do that, Mike. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
And Mike should know that better than anybody. He should know that better than anybody, because what team has been? I mean, even during their good teams through 2016 all the way through 21, what team gave them the most problems? Ohio State. Their spread offense.
And literally, athletic quarterbacks that can move outside of the pocket and create plays, extending plays with their legs. You know, I like to go back to that Justin Fields Ohio State Michigan game. The way he struggled early by just trying to do too much, and when he finally settled down, it was like, who's Michigan? Where's the defense? Like, and we see what Justin Fields doing in the league right now. He came in with a lot of hype. I think Georgia kind of derailed his mentality, kind of exposed him for the type of, you know, his character, what he brought to the locker room. And when he got to Ohio State, it was a little bit tougher on him, you know, from what I heard. But just to see how he was able to evolve in that offense so quickly, that Ohio State is literally a quarterback away from being in your position, Michigan. They literally
grab that one, coach. Grab one of y'all. Grab that.
Y'all was getting did crazy by a QB we humbled and ran out of the conference. You didn't humble this guy. This guy.
Who are you talking about, Smoke?
The Auburn quarterback. I want to believe that's who you talking about. She might be talking about Kyle McCord.
Kyle McCord.
Because Kyle McCord, he's not on. He might.
The quarterback from Auburn. Didn't he come from Ohio State?
Michigan State, I think.
Michigan State, yeah. Thor. Is that what you're talking about? Thor?
Yeah.
So Demaria, your point is you ran the quarterback out of conference, and we get done dirty by him. Is that your point? I guess I don't know.
He threw for less than 120 yards in that game.
I'm asking before I comment. Like, you can't possibly be talking about that.
Y'all didn't run him out of the conference.
Peyton Thorne. Okay.
Michigan State literally don't recruit offense. Why would you want to go to Michigan State as a quarterback if you feel like you got some type of potential? You want to showcase your quarterback skills. Michigan State, they lost their head coach coming into this season. Like everything was, Michigan State is the A&M of Big 12 right now. Like what's happened with their program. Peyton Thorne or any other quarterback with any type of upside would have been stupid to sit around and play under all that or try to play under all that mess. You get what I'm saying? Like, so
also it goes back to what Coach Mook was just saying, and Coach Jarrett was just saying. When you run those kind of offenses, it don't matter who you put at QB. The boy can run a 4.8. It don't matter. When you scheme up those type of offensive, give us problems, right? But they also put your defense in a bad position.
Carlos,
right?
you're a lie. This is what I'm talking about, Sean. This is my concern right here. He said Peyton Thorne basically beat Alabama. Auburn coaches should be fired. Peyton Thorne against Alabama this year, 5 of 16 for 91 yards.
Read that again, Coach Mook.
5 of 16 at the quarterback. This ain't the bump the run game. The quarterback in this game against Alabama they went 5 of 16. 5 of 16. 5 of 16 for 91. And then his rushing, he only had 15 carries for 57 yards. That's not even
so, facts. What are you talking about? Like, explain, right? All you proving is, shout out to Demarius, shout out to Carlos with love. You don't know what the hell you're watching. Love you to death, though. Love you to death. Go ahead, Coach Jay.
Jaquez Hunter had a completion.
Yeah,
he went 1 for 1 for 2 yards. Does that mean that he was the one beating us? Because he had 93 rushing yards.
Hey.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And like I said, like going back to the spread point, I mean, doesn't Maryland run a spread offense? And how many points did they put up on Michigan? 27 points, including 2 literally wide open looks, touchdowns that Talia overshot.
Say it again, Coach Jay.
Wide open shots. I mean, because I heard Mike was so I guess it was the individual assignments that lost this game. Well, guess what? Individual assignments almost cost you the game against Maryland. Because there was 2 blown coverages that y'all had when y'all simply were playing cover two zone.
Facts.
And you blew it in the back end. You blew it in the back end.
There's your answer,
and Talia overshot
answer.
It twice. He had 2 times where he simply overthrown the receiver. If he just hits that receiver in stride and doesn't put much air into the ball, that's a touchdown. It's 2 touchdowns right there, and we could be having a different conversation. So two of the offenses that ran spread offenses gave you the most fits, Ohio State and Maryland.
And that's another thing. Go ahead. No, go, bro.
If you guys' biggest, and this is just for Demaria and Carlos, if your biggest gripes is we barely beat Arkansas and barely beat Auburn, if first of all, that tells me that you clearly don't know what you're watching. You don't. You know what I mean? I would appreciate more if you just say, you know what, Coach, I'm just trolling. I'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I think you serious. I think you serious. You think y'all almost beat Arkansas. So you think that matters. You think that's going to help you on Monday. You think the fact that we had a struggling game, we were still trying to find our identity on offense. Anybody that know this game understands what that was. I watched you struggle at the end of the season with Maryland. Stop it. You made Tua Lili look like Tua. Stop it. Don't get me started on y'all, bro.
Hey,
I got love for y'all. I don't want to flame your ass this early in the morning. Please leave me alone.
This is what gets me though. Like I look at those stats. It just sparked interest. I wanted to see what game similar to that performance from Peyton Thorne that Miro had, and it was literally the Mississippi State game, the Arkansas game. Mississippi State game, he threw 12 passes. 164 yards. He ran the ball 11 times for 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. We saw how that Mississippi State game went. I think defense had 2 scoring touchdowns that game too. So, but the Arkansas game, 10 of 21 for 238 with 2 passing touchdowns. What made that game close was Milroe holding on to that ball too long, and he got sacked 5 times that game against Arkansas. This was before. You know, this was after the Miro growth, and we was waiting on Caden Proctor to turn that corner. So yeah, this game right here, even this game here, the stats let you know that spread offenses, Miro in the spread is probably best right now. You know, as far as a team that could present the most obstacles for your defense. If you're going to sit here and say that Talia provides better QB attributes or better winning capabilities or game changing capabilities than Jalen Miro, then I ask you not to show up next week for real, honestly, because I promise you, Carlos, if you don't go look at the numbers and follow go look at any game you want to pick from Alabama schedule, you go look at it, look at the numbers, look at how the numbers were produced. You're going to see that we find a niche. Michigan has never been able to just fully dominate in a phase of a game. It's literally they've been helped out so many times. We took the game from Georgia. We took the game from LSU. We took the game from Tennessee. You know, Tennessee was actually down by 17, or was it 10? Was it 10 or 17 in the first half?
Who, us?
I forget. Yeah, Alabama, Tennessee. We were down by 10 going into the second half. I think it was 17-7.
It was 20-7.
20-7. 13. So I mean, and at that point in time in the season, this Tennessee offense was firing on all cylinders. That at that point in the season, they were getting the talks as, oh, this might be the team that beat Georgia. This, that, and the third. You know, Milton's improving. This, that, and third. McCarthy's no Milton, bro. Nowhere near it. Nowhere near. And they don't run nowhere near that style of offense to stretch us. I don't know, man. I don't know.
David
Michigan
Kendall
fans,
said, look at his super chat. I'm sorry. He said, I think Coach Moore grabbed it. He said, look at McCarthy's stats over the last 6 games. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. It did come in.
Okay.
He said, look at McCarthy's stats over the last 6 games. I that's the thing. I don't even want to do that to him because, to me and Coach Jay's point earlier, I think Coach Sean said it too. Mm-hmm. The last 6 games, you wouldn't even want to just cut that out and compare Alabama versus Michigan, because if you're a football head and you understand what those last 6 games mean, how they play into who your team is, you don't like what your team is presenting and putting on film as far as going up against a team like Alabama.
Also, Demaria was saying how we struggle with Arkansas early in the season. You guys struggle with Bowling Green just as early. JJ McCarthy was 8 of 13 for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 turnovers. So it happens, guys, early in the season, especially when you're trying to find yourself.
Right.
JJ McCarthy.
We're not discounting anything that he can do. It's just that's just the way of how it goes, man. The rate of development is the difference. I can look across the board and show you Caden Proctor, Tyler Booker, Seth McLaughlin, Jaden Roberts being inserted, J.C. Latham. You remember how much crap we was giving J.C. Latham at the beginning of the season, talking about he was too heavy, this, that, and third. Turn on the last 4 games of the season with J.C. Latham. You're like, oh my God. Now that's a first round offensive tackle. That's the first round tackle we've been hearing about, all the hype been coming in preseason. That's a first round tackle. Booker, first round guard, first round O lineman. You know, Jaden Roberts giving us the first round vibes. The way he's surged into that, it's like you can't. Where's McCarthy? Where's McCarthy's improvement throughout the whole season? And yes, he was injured. I hate that. I didn't even know he had got injured, because honestly, to me, I didn't see a difference from when he's injured and when he's not. That's just me.
Coach Jay, can you grab that? And I want her to list those 4 she's talking about. I'll wait on this one.
Let me see. Let's see. He won with his head coach the last 4 games against some of the toughest teams of our season.
She meant without his head coach.
What for?
Oh, without their head coach. Jim Harbaugh doesn't call plays. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, for the most part, I mean, he manages the game, but let's be honest here. I mean, I give Coach Moore credit. Coach Moore did a phenomenal job of managing. I mean, I think that all the Michigan fans in the chat, they can agree that Coach Moore did a phenomenal job in managing the football game. But Jim Harbaugh doesn't call plays. This is not the San Francisco 49er days. He's dialed it back a lot. He used to actually be more heavily involved in calling plays back in 2015, 2016 when they got rolling, but he's not doing that anymore.
Demaria, I just want you to list the 4 tough teams you were talking about, if you don't mind. List those 4 for me, if you don't mind.
I'll go as far as to say this, Coach Jay. Jim Harbaugh not being on the sideline allowed the offense to really stick to what they do, because Jim Harbaugh, and we all seen this, when he gets in those situations where his original plan is not working, he gets so uncharacteristic. He gets uncharacteristic with that play calling, and it puts them in horrible positions. I mean, before recent years, I want to say the last 2 years, go look at those Ohio State games. Go look at those Penn State games where he almost, I mean, fourth and 4 on your side of the field for what? You got 8 minutes left in the game. Why do that? And it's a 18-14 game. Why are you trying to go for it? 3 timeouts left. You get what I'm saying? So those situations is what I will continue to say. And to me, Jim Harbaugh, I think he's past his social media little phase of trying to be relevant, getting clout through social media. I think things are starting to come out that's exposing him. It's a lot of pressure on this guy to really produce as a coach this season. With this being the last year of this format, I think because anything after this, if you're not in that top 4, it's kind of like fans are now going to be able to say, well, we was in before they started expanding and making it easier for people to get in the playoffs. Michigan's going to be part of that group. Like, y'all get to be a part of that group. Y'all need to win one. This one is really more pressure on Michigan than anybody else. Alabama's been there. I think we won 3 in the college football era. Or is it 2 in the college football era? I mean, college football playoff era. We won 2.
As far as what? Championships?
National championships. I think we won 2
We
national
won 23.
3 in the college football playoff in college football playoff era. Michigan has been there. This will be their third straight into the playoffs, and you guys haven't got past the first round. So let's see.
DeMario, I'm just picking with you about the teams. I understand about the typing. That's all good. I ain't tripping. I'm just saying, when you said 4 of the toughest teams on our schedule, I wanted you to list those 4. Because that's all. I was just picking with you. It's all good.
Maryland is one of, they're not even a ranked team, and that was probably even better to me. Maryland played y'all better than Ohio State did. Because they were getting beat up, but they were still hanging with y'all the whole game, man.
Here you go, Smoot. That's for you.
Honestly, I'm just saying but I feel like Coach Smoot hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you why I be fanned out, because y'all be coming here saying stupid stuff. Like, I almost cuss. You be saying stupid stuff. Like, you literally trying to compare Iowa and Maryland to the likes of LSU, Auburn, Tennessee. Like, you got Sean crying over there.
Yeah,
like,
crazy.
It's funny. You say, look, Tua got your number. What you think Jalen Miro gonna have? He gonna have your number, your wife, your daughter, everybody. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if Talia did it with that and that's the thing, he did it with a horrible offensive line. That offensive line didn't help him out at all that game. Coach Jay, when you told me to turn that game on, I was like, this boy's literally running for his life every snap.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Bryce last year?
Yep.
Times 10. It was worse. So just imagine having a great value Bryce Young as your quarterback and having a Dollar Tree version of that Alabama 22-21 offensive line in front of them. Or I say 22. 21 was pretty solid. 22 offensive line in front of them. That's what Maryland was working with, and they pushed y'all to the limit. So, yeah.
Hey, on another note, Mike, I'm sorry, Coach Jay. You go ahead. What I was saying.
I was about to say real quick. Not to mention that you're playing against the quarterback until you're talking about Lowe, who is known for turning over the ball.
Yeah.
What put Michigan in positions to win the game? Because their offense, let's be honest here, was getting outplayed by Maryland's offense. But what put them in positions to win? Because Talia kept turning over the ball, especially in crucial situations where Maryland had the momentum, and both those picks that he threw, his number 2 or number 3 options were wide open streaking down the field, and he missed it.
Hey, and so I want to address this too. You go say defense is in top 50 relevant for y'all, but for us it's not relevant. No, I never said that. I said the fact that you're playing those top 50 defenses, those 3 top 50 defenses, your offensive production took a major decline against those top 50 defenses. I put the numbers in one of the primary stats that Coach Sean came in and highlighted initially. Third in passing downs. Your passing completion percentage and third in passing against teams ranked in top 50 is 41%.
Yeah.
Alabama's is 56 or 54%. I forget the number I put out. It was 56. Anything over 50% in passing. Passing against the blitz, it was 54%. Passing on third and passing was 61. I just got it up. 61% completion percentage on third and passing for Alabama. 54% against the blitz. You guys are 41% against both. I don't see that faring well for y'all. And you did this. Your numbers greatly declined against the likes of Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, even against I think it was Nebraska. I was looking at the stats. No, Rutgers. Rutgers held y'all to put y'all in third and passing 6 times. Y'all went 2 for 6. 2 for 6 on third and passing against Rutgers. So it's not that it's irrelevant for relevant for us, it's irrelevant for y'all. It's actually relevant for both. It shows that against more efficient defenses, JJ McCarthy is not that dude. He is not even close to being what Milroe has been able to develop into. And don't do just the last 6 games of the season. That's why I keep saying the whole season. I stopped doing last 6 games of the season because then y'all would really think I was a fan, because it's not even close when you're talking about the production on the field for the last 6 games of the season comparing the 2 teams.
I say Demaria, she said, but you can't dispel. We played, I believe, 2 to 3 teams in the top 10. And if we being real, Demaria, just no trolling us, all trolling aside, just being humble and objective. You guys did play Ohio State. You guys did play Penn State. I don't know who else you played in the top 10. I don't think you played anybody else in the top 10.
It was Iowa.
Iowa. They in the top 10? I was in the top 10.
They weren't in the top 10. They were number
not in the conference championship game.
Okay.
They were like number 12 or something like that.
Okay, so hey, kudos to you for beating Iowa, Penn State, and Ohio State. Right? Kudos to you. And we're not acting like Alabama doesn't have faults, guys. If I'm being objective, we have every football team in the country has faults, right? Alabama's no exception, right? We have faults. That's the fun in it. Can you hide your faults? Can you coach up your team to work around your faults and go 12-1 and win the SEC? Go 11-1 and win the SEC, 12-0 and win the Big Ten. Can you get around your faults, right? That's why these 4 teams are here, right? They got around their faults, all their close games, as you want to say, all the ups and downs. That's what made Alabama an SEC champion, right? You cannot dispel the team that Alabama beat, man. Georgia was destroying everybody. They hadn't lost a game in 3 years, just about, to the same team they lost to a few weeks ago, right? We the last team to beat them. You got to give them their just due for that, right? You beat Iowa. Your toughest game was Ohio State, right? I don't understand the Big Ten, so I'm not going to act like I do. To play Iowa in you guys' championship game is sort of like us playing Texas A&M again, I guess. I don't know how they make it to a championship game, but what I saw, no disrespect. Iowa's were who they were, I suppose. No disrespect. My point is, you've beaten Ohio State 3 years, right? I give you respect for that. It's hard to beat your rival. We all know that. What makes you figure he not like that for real or on Milroe level, but the projected first rounder for a season? If you're talking about JJ McCarthy, I think JJ McCarthy is a good quarterback. I do. I think he's.
She talking to me, man.
Oh, okay. I'll let Coach Smoot grab that one, but I'll wrap up in saying I give Michigan their credit. I think their defense is one of the best in the country. I'm not moved by your offense, and it's not that they're not a good offense. It's just the scheme you run is in our wheelhouse. I'd rather play y'all than play Texas based off strictly the scheme.
It's rare. I can't, and this is why I can't really, because I'm just thinking about it. I can't really think of a team, maybe since LSU in 2011, that simply just beat them by doing what Alabama does best, which is stopping that scheme. Bama doesn't lose games playing against a scheme that they pretty much mastered in since Saban has kind of come to power. That's the big argument in favor, and that's why I had Alabama win the game 24-13, because Bama's mastered that style. Bama offensively, for the most part, it's different from what Michigan is. It's a scheme that has literally caused Michigan fits and problems. And, that's why I got Alabama winning the game 24-13. Now, I could be wrong. I could potentially flip it around and say, who knows, maybe Michigan win the game 24-13, but it's not. But I won't even say because Michigan is dominating one of the games, because this is how Michigan wins their games. They're not, again, statistically they dominate, but when it comes to point spread, they're not a dominant football team. When they play against good quality competition, good tough competition, their point spread is low as all hell. And why? Because this is how Michigan wins their game. Their defense gets quick 3 and outs. Their defense get quick 3 and outs, and their offensive and when in their run game, it's slow, methodical, 3-4 yards per carry. Because remember, Michigan, they're not even in the top 50 when it comes to yards per carry. Michigan's rushing offense is 59th in the country. Like, because everyone kept talking about how Michigan's run game was elite. You would think that Michigan had a top 10 rushing attack. They're 59th. And the rushing yards per carry is outside of the top 50. So they put up slow, methodical drives. They constrict you. They're the anaconda, right? If you like the movie Anaconda, they're the anaconda of college football. They're boa constrictors. They slowly but surely constrict you and choke you out to death. That's Michigan's playing style. That's who they've always been for the last 4 to 5 years. Of course, they added new wrinkles. They added a little bit more of a pro spread to their system to make it a little bit more modern. But overall wise, their philosophy since Jim Harbaugh has been there has been the exact same. And it's just slow, methodical football, play great defense, and have your quarterback be a game manager. Have your quarterback be a game manager. Focus on predicating the run game. Focus on developing and getting big offensive linemen, defensive linemen. That guess who's mastered that style for almost 20 years? Bama. And I can't really imagine. It's possible. That's why I say the winner of this game is going to win by 2 scores. But it's hard to really imagine that Michigan's going to beat Alabama at its own game.
You know what? I want to address that comment from earlier about JJ McCarthy. I don't think he's him. I'm not saying he's trash. I don't think he's him. I don't think he's been getting these first round draft grades. You know who else was getting first round draft grades? Mitchell Trubisky. You know who else was getting first round draft grades? And I'm just scrolling because I'm looking at these.
I mean, to be fair though, they did go in the first round. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky was like a top 3 pick.
But I'm saying, look at what they're doing now. Like all these analysts that be doing all these projected first round grades. Sometimes I don't know if they watch it on the field because you had a Sam Darnold go ahead of Lamar Jackson that year. You had Sam Darnold go ahead of Josh Allen in that draft.
Like, Josh Allen was not.
He wasn't. But he wasn't. But he was on the same level as Darnold. To me,
no. Darnold in college was way better. It wasn't. It's not even an argument.
I mean,
pull up.
I remember Darnold.
You can pull up
Darnold.
You can pull up Josh Allen's last season. It was bad. That Iowa tape was one of the worst tapes you'll see from an NFL quarterback. He was raw as all hell, extremely raw. But he was taken because of his size. Size and athleticism and arm strength. That, let's be honest, his rookie season was garbage. Second year he played as a JJ McCarthy game managing role. Third year came when Brian Daboll and we got Stephon Diggs. All of a sudden, just came up and became a superstar. So that's JJ McCarthy. That's what he could potentially be, and that's why he's projected to be a first round pick.
Paxton Lynch was projected to be a first round pick.
Richardson win the first round.
I'm looking at names. I'm looking at names that win in the first round that play similar to what JJ McCarthy presents on the field. And like,
no, Graham, but he played for Wyoming. I'm sorry, he played for Wyoming though, which was not the best program.
Exactly, but I'm just looking at the names and I'm talking about recent history, like 2018 up until now. Daniel Jones. You saw what all the hype he had in college, giving him the upside speech and all that. Maybe 6 solid games. He was buzzing in the NFL, in the past 4 years.
Trey Lance at North Dakota State.
I mean, all these guys, even Kyler Murray is falling off. But Kyler Murray, he did his thing everywhere he went. He was a different dude in his time of playing at Oklahoma. And then last year, you see what Kenny Pickett is doing at Pittsburgh. But when I say these names, who does JJ McCarthy resemble on any skill level? I mean, JJ McCarthy give me and I don't want to do him dirty like that. He give me Mark Sanchez vibes.
I'm not gonna sit up here and say he's Mark Sanchez. I'll tell you a quarterback that comes close though, Zach Wilson.
That too, but Only reason I say Mark Sanchez because Sanchez had a solid college career, and I think McCarthy is having a solid college career. But the hype around Sanchez was so much, kind of like what McCarthy is getting, and I think it's only because he's playing Bama. Coming into this Bama game, I think that's what is starting to build up now because they're in the playoffs playing against Bama. But McCarthy's getting these high end evaluations, and I'm just not seeing it, man. I see spots. But most of these guys were way more consistent than what he is.
That's why, though. You just said it. Spots. That's why, though. Because when it comes to just simply having a complete game film of what you like to see, and this is with a lot of quarterbacks. You mentioned that's what a lot of quarterbacks. Period. It's not what they do for the entirety of a season. It's what they do for the. Well, it kind of is. It's what they do for the season, but it's more spots. It's more what they project you to be if they can fix you. Compared to what you've done for the entirety of the season. Like if you throw for 300, 400 yards per game, like a Jaden Daniels or even Kyler Murray was able to do, that's phenomenal. That's great. But I would rather, but again, Josh Allen, who let's be honest, just was not that good of a quarterback in college. He showed more spots, which teams looked at and said, you know what, we can take that, put them in this particular system, and we can develop them. The one critique that's happening, this is not for JJ McCarthy, this is more towards Michigan, what Jim Harbaugh is doing, and Mike and Carlos can maybe attest to this. It's the fact how Michigan fans feel like he's being held back because of the offense that he's in, because of the talent that he presents with the arm, with his arm talent, with his showcases and accuracy when it comes to tight spots, when it showcases to his speed, because he's a 4.4 dude, he's a 4.4 runner. When you take all of that into consideration and you put him in the sort of offense that he's in, when he throws for like 14, 15, 16 times per game, that's simply not gonna cut it. And that, in a way, you can make an argument, has kind of held him back to propelling to a quarterback where a lot of scouts think he can be. But he'll probably be in the first round. I'll be honest. He probably, if he does decide to come out, he's gonna light up the combine. And when he lights up the combine, he's gonna be in the first round conversation
because he's eligible this year, right?
Yeah, he's eligible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man. First round, that means he's gonna be mixing up with the likes of Jaden Daniels, with the likes of Caleb Williams keeps playing around with the idea, but we know he's coming out.
Caleb's doing it.
Yeah. Drake May. I don't know. Drake May, Sam Hartman,
and then Sam
Hartman.
Hartman's not going the first round. He's not going the first round.
JJ and Sam Hartman are one and the same to me, bro.
Sam Hartman doesn't have his athleticism, and that's why it's projection. And when you're trying to project when you're trying to predict the quarterback,
Sam Hartman don't have athleticism.
No.
Okay, Jay.
Sam Hartman runs a 4.8. JJ runs a 4.4. That's not even a question about it. I mean, when it comes to to athleticism, he's more athletic. That's not even a debate.
Sam Hartman definitely runs a 4.53. And JJ McCarthy is not doing anything. I'm telling you, bro.
We'll see at the combine. We'll see when they run at the combine which quarterback is faster. But
make sure y'all remember this. Coach Jay, I think
JJ McCarthy's
drinking too much Michigan Kool-Aid. This JJ McCarthy Kool-Aid. I ain't gonna say Michigan. It's JJ McCarthy. I just don't see it, man. And I've watched. I'm
not. This is what scouts are saying. This is what NFL scouts are saying.
Another year with some. And I think he has capable wide receivers. He has 2 wide receivers on that roster that should definitely have way more targets than what they have, man. And Roman Wilson, who's I think is probably he can go late first round if it's one of them wide receiver drafts where guys are coming off the board. He presents a lot of attributes that you love to see in a top end receiver. But you got a true freshman, man, who you could throw on the slot, like you said. They use them in the motions. Why they not targeting them? I think that would help JJ McCarthy, create more value for himself. But I just don't see it, man.
Is that on him? Yeah, is that on him or is that on the coaching staff? That's the point.
But the things that he's missing is on him. Just like with Miro, the things that he's missing, what's being thrown out there, is not like you can't take advantage of it. That's what we've been.
What did Tommy Rees did? Well, what did Tommy Rees to develop Miro's game? He dialed it back. He dialed it back
for one game, bro.
Yeah.
And after after that week off, that bye week, we haven't seen the offensive play calling change from what it was against Texas. We've actually seen literally the same thing, except we've added more pre-snap motion, but the same play calling
Yeah, because
is
and
designed.
Miro had to go, and he had to go through his growing pains. He still had to go through his. He still. I mean, you can make an argument. He still is going through his growing pains.
Is this McCarthy's second year starting or first?
Second year starting.
That's the point I'm making. I look at Miro's
because they don't have
in
to.
the time. I look at Miro's progression and the span that he's been able to grow with this 1 year, and I look at what McCarthy has done in 2 years. There's a slight decline from last year to this year for what McCarthy, and it could be play calling, and it could be the small things, but it is also on him. Your second year, you don't miss some of the reads that he was missing. I don't think Miro's missing a lot of that quick. The same stuff that we're critiquing Miro on now. Next year coming back, if we're seeing the same thing, I'll be giving Miro the same heat because you're not showing anything different from what you did last year.
Yeah, and I think he'll do it. I think he'll do that because a quarterback doesn't. I mean, as raw as Jalen Miro was, you don't really develop this fast in this 1 year time span. That's why I think I'm gonna be. This is pretty much gonna be a hot take. I think Jalen Miro is gonna be the #1 pick next year. I do. I think he's gonna be the #1 pick in the NFL draft next year. But if we're taking a look at the history of how NFL scouts look at quarterbacks and how they can see it, they're going to take this. I mean, they're going to take this scheme into consideration because the scheme has held back in a way JJ McCarthy from developing. Because you can make the same case that the scheme should have been advanced to a point where they can throw the football and be a little bit more balanced. And I think the NFL, they'll take that into consideration. I've always said this before. I think JJ McCarthy is going to light up the combine, and when he lights up the combine, it's going to be because preseason before, I'm looking at the preseason rankings, JJ McCarthy was a top 10 overall projected pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's more of a late round prospect because they love his talent. And I think he's Zach Wilson. Like when I just take a look at him and I just turn on game tape, he is Zach Wilson to a T. And
a little bit faster,
a little bit faster. Yeah,
that's it. A little bit smaller and a little bit faster. That's it. I think he does present. Like I said, another year for McCarthy. Get him 1 or 2 receivers, man. This dude can definitely light it up, especially in that conference. I would like to see him in the SEC. I would like to see him, with a real out of conference game against a top opponent, kind of like what Miro had to go through against Texas, with a legit out of conference opponent that presents obstacles or presents NFL like talent across the board. I think we all can vouch for a lot of teams in the SEC defenses, a lot of SEC defenses that have, maybe 5 to 8 defensive players lined up across the field from you at any given point in time. There's very few that have 11 across the field, but 5 to 8, you don't get that out of with Michigan and what McCarthy's been able to see. So I would love to see the different play calling style, see what he could do with it. But right now, I can't see him being a game changer or being that effective, they're giving it to him.
Yeah, Demario, it's no disrespect by comparing him to Zach Wilson, because guess what? Zach Wilson lit it up in college. I mean, his last year in COVID, he threw for like 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He lit it up in college. He was a really, really good college quarterback. And you can make the case and same argument that if he wasn't on the New York Jets, which is one of the worst places ever when it comes to developing a quarterback, let's say you put him on the San Francisco 49ers when he gets to work with Kyle Shanahan, which I think that scheme fits perfectly with his tendencies. I think for the most part, he can grow, he can develop, and he'll become a much better quarterback. Way better. He actually might become a top 10 or maybe top 5 quarterback if you put when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL. Smith. Yeah, Geno Smith. You put Geno Smith on a all of a sudden the Seattle Seahawks. All of a sudden he's just a different quarterback to how he was with the New York Jets. Why? Because it's scheme dependent. When it comes to the NFL, it's all about which scheme fits the quarterback.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa was a mess with Brian Flores. All of a sudden, you give him Mike McDaniel and you bring the offense that he ran at Alabama, which was more of a time-based offense with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Look at Tua now. He's top 5 in every statistical category that you can pick from a quarterback. Josh Allen was a mess until all of a sudden we had to get the scheme perfect fit for Josh Allen, get Stephon Diggs, get Cole Beasley, get players that can fit what Josh Allen does best with his tendencies. Josh Allen's a top 5 guy. Lamar Jackson.
Trevor Lawrence.
Brought the exactly. Trevor Lawrence looked a mess with Urban Meyer in the offensive scheme. All of a sudden now, Trevor Lawrence looks like a freaking, looks like a top 10 quarterback. That's every quarterback. It's scheme dependent.
Let me say this real quick to my Michigan fans. I know how it is when you're in a.
Hold on, Sean.
Go ahead.
This is one that I had to get clipped when you made the first initial argument about the schedules. look at what Mike Farr said. And I think he's asking in like a question way. He's saying, so the schedule argument goes away, especially with the cream of the pack crop coming our way to their conference in the big what are they, Big 10 now or Big 14, whatever they're gonna be next.
I don't know what they call it. I think you just call it the big.
the big mess. But Sean, does them getting those 4 teams out of the pack, does that take away? Because personally, I don't think you don't get away from that cupcake argument until you have in and out the year at least 4 or 5 ranked teams on your schedule. And I'm talking about legit ranked teams. I ain't talking about the SEC them beat up on each other now, and you got a 2-3 loss team in the SEC that can go and beat your 1 loss team in the Big 12 or the ACC, or the Pac. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And it's just it's not anything that Michigan controls. It's the logistics of college football, but I don't think that helps your case as far as being top end. What you think, Coach Sean?
I think if we're going by past history in the last couple of years, I think the Oregon move helped big time. USC is a sleeping giant, but I just don't know about USC, man. Everybody called it a sleeping giant. I got family out there, and I'm gonna tell y'all something about Los Angeles. It's a lot. It's the same problem with Miami. When the football team is not doing well, it's a lot of other stuff to do.
Coach Sean, real quick, you know what's funny? The third string quarterback can ball out. Florida State fan.
Facts. Florida. Oh my God, that's such a great point. I hope Florida State watched USC last night. They showed up to their bowl with all their players. They put their third string in and balled out and made a point. I give them credit for that, man. I give them credit for that. That's 100% facts, Coach Jay. But I will say, from a viewership standpoint, I get it. You got California. That's gonna put hella eyes in your conference, right? But from a competitive standpoint on the field, to Coach Smoot's point, I guess, I see Oregon, but I don't. Is USC going to help? USC went 8-4, 7-5, right? UCLA, no. Who else is going over there to the Big 10?
Is it Colorado?
Is it Colorado? I think they're going Big 12.
Big 12.
Big 12.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
Big 12.
So I do understand Oregon. Oregon's got a great recruiting class. They got a lot of young talent. They got a young quarterback coming in on top of a veteran quarterback, Dylan Gabriel coming in. Oregon's going to be a problem for the future, right? So I guess it's a tomato argument because they can say
Washington,
yeah, now Washington,
UCLA.
But how good they gonna be next year? I don't really know.
Because Washington, they're a beneficiary of what I was talking about earlier with like Auburn. They've been able to mix and match some pieces together, keep some core group guys together for the past 3 years, and this was their years to peak, especially with it being a top heavy Pac-12, meaning the top 3 or 4 teams in the pack were literally the pack. They were them. The guys behind them, they were so inconsistent. I'm talking about like Arizona State, San Diego. I think San Diego State is out there too. Those are the type of teams you turn on and you're like, man, okay, they look good. And then you come back to the game after a quarter, you're like, this ain't the same team I was watching.
That Arizona State game will always bother me, man. Against the 1-win football team, and yet they couldn't score a touchdown against Arizona State, man. They Arizona State got robbed. I have no idea how that was called pass interference. They should have won that game, but it is what it is.
I can say that with respect to USC and Oregon and all those guys, I don't think it's as big of a move as far as the Texas move is to the SEC. Texas brings, just like USC, probably more eyeballs because even though they're the 2 biggest states, college football is not as big in California as it is in Texas, right? Any football in Texas is astronomical, man. Like these guys have high school stadiums with 30,000 fans in it. Like no lie, South Lake Carroll. I mean, so to bring Texas, who has their own network, and to bring Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC is a huge, huge move. Texas is a really, really big state. You got Texas A&M in College Station. You got Texas in Austin. So to command the entire state of Texas for one conference is I can't explain to you as far as college football. If this is pro football, I would understand. But college football, that was a huge, huge jump. But let me say this real quick to my Michigan fans, what I was about to say. I know how it is to be in a chat and it's the team you're playing and they just beating you up. Let me say this to Mike and to Demaria and to Carlos, to all the Michigan fans, bro. I respect you guys' defense, bro. I do. You know, I have the utmost respect for your defense. When I see your quarterback, JJ McCarthy, if I can compare, if I can use my own little comparison, not in college, but right now, I see Ryan Tannehill, a smaller Ryan Tannehill, guy that can throw it. He can run, he can, but doesn't always make the right decision. Doesn't always make the right decision at all. I respect Michigan because you guys know who you are and you play to who you are. The only thing we're saying as coaches, shout out to Mike, is I think Alabama's going to present a different challenge. That's all I'm saying. And you guys could win the game. You guys could come out, we play terrible, whatever the case may be, and you win the game. Respect. I'm gonna be right back on here and give you your love. You know what I mean?
Facts.
What we're saying is when you look at the teams Alabama has played throughout, it prepares us for Michigan a little more than it prepares you guys to play Alabama, I believe. Now, there's some things that you guys do well that I think is going to give us some issues. I don't think we're going to be able to line up and run the ball down you guys' throat. I just don't believe that. But what I'm trying to say is I don't think we have to, right? With Jalen Milroe, I don't think we have to line up and rush for 140 yards from one back, right? As long as we can continuously move the chains, I think we'll be fine with Milroe's legs added into that. To me, if Jalen Milroe plays well on third down, it's no reason why Alabama shouldn't win this football game. I think the pressure's on you guys. You guys are ranked. You guys are ranked higher. You're favored to win the game. Alabama sucks. Let half the people tell it. We don't got no business in the playoffs. Let everybody tell it. Our players are motivated, man. Trust me when I'm telling you. And all these coaches on these panels can tell you that they are super motivated. Link. That's the real thing now. Let a naysayer know we've been doubted just the beginning of the season. You got analysts who hadn't played football in 20 years talking about how we suck in this area, suck in area. All Alabama does is keep winning, guys. That's all they do.
Right.
They keep winning. Doesn't matter how close the score was, whether we blew somebody out. Alabama is 12-1, right? And the SEC champs. So you can make whatever excuse you want to make. You can say Florida State deserves to be there. All these other things. None of that's going to help Monday when the game kicks off. I promise you. Our guys feel disrespected. They've always felt disrespected. They've banded together. And I'm so happy this season has went the way it's went because it's made our players come together. Right. In the beginning of the season, you had the older players pissed off, like myself, pissed off how we was playing. And there was a little rift between the older players at Bama and the younger players at Bama. The players who've already, the Derrick Henrys, the Trent Richardsons, they were critical. You know, the AJ McCarron, and rightfully so. Those guys bled for that program. They can say whatever the hell they want, right? AJ McCarron got 3 national championships, brother. You can say what you want, right? So, and sometimes these younger players don't. And all of us can tell you that with high school players, sometimes the younger players are programmed to think if you're critical of them, you're hating on me, right? That's not the case. That link and what bridged the rift between these two generations is the media and naysayer fans, right? Because one thing as Bama fans, we all take, we get pissed off about is when people say we can't do something, right? If you really knew football, you wouldn't diss us for the USF game. You would see that was the players making a stance. We respect Ty. Ty is our future, right? Our early future, right? Not 10 years down the road. Ty is our future here recently, coming up, right? But right now, Jalen is the quarterback for this team, and we'll show you on the field, right?
Yep.
We'll lay an egg like a mug. We'll win, but we'll lay an egg just to show you. Let us do our thing. They sent a message, and ever since then, Alabama has looked up. We lost to a great team in Texas, right? Everybody came in talking about how they beat us on our own home field. Texas is a playoff team, brother. And regardless of how you guys want to chalk it up, Alabama had the lead in that game in the fourth quarter, and 2 touchdowns were taken back from us. 2 touchdowns.
Can we hark on those moments? Alabama has had the most scores called back in Alabama history under Coach Saban this season alone.
Yeah, man.
To be 12-1 and to play against, I think we faced a total of 6 total ranked teams this year. Throughout the season, at some point in the season, they were ranked in the top 25. To go 12-1 and to have 56 points total this season called off the board. You had 2 in the game against Texas. You had 1 against I think you had 1 in every game, but the Mississippi State game. A&M game, we had a call back, and I'm gonna go back and fact check. I might do that. Might be a video we do. That might be a little video we collab on. But I'm gonna go back and fact check. I want to say every game we've either had a penalty that got called, because even in the SEC championship, didn't Knee Black have the Auburn game, or was it SEC championship? Knee Black had a touchdown call back because of a holding downfield or illegal.
I
Auburn.
think that was Auburn. Auburn.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that's 14 points in the Auburn game that
Kendrick
got called
Law.
back. Kendrick Law's touchdown got called back. So just think about, and I'm only accounting for the 8 that I can think of off the top of my head out of those few games. That's 50 plus points unaccounted for this offense, statistics and everything for things. When we talk about stuff being padded, the penalties dropped. Emmanuel 2Gs came through and said that Michigan has been the same. I won't even say they've been the same, man. I really hope they're healthy. I really hope they're healthy, man. If they're not healthy, across the board, especially at the quarterback position, if McCarthy's not 100%, if they can't get Corn out at early and Edwards, to be his spell back and get effective runs, this is going to be a bad look for Michigan, and that conference as a whole, man. Because you got to think this will be what, their 5th or 6th representation.
According to their insiders, they're satisfied if the season was to end. Even if they don't win it, they're pretty satisfied, because I mean, people have to understand. I mean, Ohio State is their national championship.
Yeah,
that's their national championship is Ohio State, because they haven't done. I mean, you look at since the 2000s have turned. I mean, Ohio State has owned the series. So the fact that you beat that team 3 years in a row, and you made it a mission to go ahead and beat that team in Ann Arbor without Jim Harbaugh, like that's their national championship. And if they lose to Alabama, then they just, I mean, let's be honest, no one's going to care if they lose to Alabama. Everyone's going to care if we do. Yeah. Just like how we lost to Auburn, and all of a sudden I remember going to London, man. You think London gives a crap about American football? No, they care about the Premier League and La Liga and Barcelona and my Manchester United and all. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting there in the blue in Blue Square, and I'm just watching Kick Six in London. I'm there for like 4 to 5 days, man, on vacation, and literally I go in the Nike stores, Kick Six. I go to McDonald's, Kick Six.
Kick Six.
I'm going to local pubs, Kick Six. I'm like, why are they showing? They don't even watch it here. So I mean, it's just different, man. It's different with Alabama compared to the Michigan standard. Michigan can lose this game, no one will give a flip. Alabama lose, it'll be all over freaking BBC News.
And I don't mean no disrespect when I say this. And I might be wrong about this, Mike. I'm just saying how it seems to me. What Coach Jay just said about as long as they beat Ohio State, a lot of their fans will be cool. I think Ohio State fans are totally opposite. They want to win the national championship, right? No disrespect to Michigan. I know it's some Michigan fans that want that natty too. But when I see Ohio State, they don't talk about y'all a lot. They talk about the natty. I don't ever hear them talking about Michigan. Everything. You want to know why? What's that?
You want to know why? Because they've actually been able to win one in a
14. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? They kind of still got a little bit of. I think in college football, you get. Yeah, as far as being in a drought, you get like an extra, instead of like it being 5 years being considered a drought, I think 12 to 15 is when you could really start saying, okay, we're in a drought, because the spread of college football, the way the game has changed, the way it continues to evolve, NIL is a factor now. Before NIL, everybody was like 6 years. If you're supposed to be dominant, every 3 to 6 years you should be in the talks. Now it's getting a little bit more spread out because of how college football is panning out. And even more so now with the new playoff format, you're going to see a lot more fan bases popping, pumping their chest out. We got in the playoffs, this and the third. It's good for college football, but it's bad for people like us that want to talk realistically and say you're in only because of like we had to extend the scale. It's like making sure you lessen the standards for the fat kids so they could get on the ride. You know what I'm saying? You squeeze. You let that one fat kid get on the ride, and it might not be the safest thing, but he only 4 pounds over. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Live your life, but it ain't safe for everybody. And what they doing in college football ain't safe for everybody. And Coach Saban warned everybody about this with NIL, with how the college football format was when they first said 4. He always
sure
said
did.
he said 6 from the
Sure
jump,
did.
a minimum of 6. Because if you had 6, just think about the TCU Kansas situation last year, or the Baylor TCU situation the first year of the playoffs. Like that, we don't have those arguments anymore because nobody was discounting that they were one of the top 6 teams in the nation. They were discounting the fact that they deserve to be in over Alabama, and they and as much as we hate to admit it, this inconsistent playoff committee, man, they've been consistent on throwing that curveball at the end to get the money in the playoffs. If you present an opportunity for it to happen, that's on you. Florida State, Michigan, I'm sorry you had to be the recipients of the money train, but hey, this is how it's gonna roll, man. Iowa passing. This is what we was talking about earlier. I don't think we ever hit it though. Iowa's quarterback went 18-32 for 120 against Michigan in that.
They don't have a quarterback. Their MVP is their MVP is their punter, and I'm not even joking about that. Their MVP of that team is their punter.
That kid went 18-32, no interceptions against Michigan. They literally averaging 3 yards a pass. You don't think Miro is going to be able to? It's just hard for me to see it, man. It's hard for me to see. I'm not saying Michigan can't do anything. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. If it's a 28-13 game, like Coach Jay is saying, I think it's going to be a dominant 28-13 game. It's not going to be one of those games where it's like a struggle. It's going to be like a Georgia win where we just missed opportunities, or they missed opportunities where they could have extended the lead. But somebody's going to control this game, and it's going to start with whichever quarterback can get a rhythm first and get that offense going first.
I want to ask Mike because I don't know, and Mike, educate me to this, man. Not this being disrespectful, but I know in our rivalry against Auburn is the little brother. They've always been the little brother, right? It's not the Bama and Auburn fans want to beat each other, but it's not put your tires on flat like Tennessee and LSU. But it's a bigger rivalry in state, right? But it's not as fierce and hatred as it is with Tennessee and LSU, like where cats in fisticuffs, like for real, for real. Yeah. I want to know, Mike, is Michigan, and I hope I'm not off base here, is Michigan looked at as Ohio State's little brother, or is Ohio State looked at as, because I see the connotations, the undertones of both fan bases, and it's a little different. Us playing you guys, I've educated myself to them, and it's a little different, Coach Jay. What you think?
Yeah, for the last 25 years, Ohio, I mean, like I said, all time-wise, Ohio State has been the all time-wise, Michigan has been big brother. But if we're looking at like the last 25 years,
yeah,
Ohio State has owned that series. They've completely owned it.
Yeah. Okay. So and then also those states, don't they have like a annual game, kind of like the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game on the high school level? Doesn't Ohio and Michigan, don't they have Ohio Michigan All-Star game, or is it Ohio? I forget. It's 2 states up there.
It depends because Erie depends. Like Erie, Pennsylvania, they have like the whole annual like Penn State, Ohio type rivalry. Michigan, Ohio, I think Michigan, Ohio. They're like us, like like Alabama, Auburn. Like they have a crap ton of Michigan fans in Ohio. Ohio has a crap ton of fans that are living in Michigan, but they because they're right next to each other. They intercross with each other almost all the time. So,
shout out to Hayden. Shout out to you. Truth is,
Mike even kind of said the 33 game.
Yeah, man. I'm just saying. And to close it out, man, we've been on this month for almost 3 hours, y'all.
Hold on before you close it out, Smoot. One question. That's a good. I meant to ask this earlier. Mike had a good question earlier. This is sort of off topic, but it's actually a really good question. I can't find it, but I'm paraphrasing Mike, but he was pretty much, he said if Brian Kelly is hired and to leave LSU to go to Michigan, that's sort of I understand it's ladder, I get it, both really good programs, but that's more where he from, up in the north, I get it, from us. So he said if Brian Kelly, if Jim Harbaugh gets one of those pro jobs, the Chargers a good job, Falcons, whatever. If possibly Jim Harbaugh leave Michigan and Brian Kelly right here. If Kelly gets hired, he says, expect to see torches and pitchforks. I want to know how you guys feel about that. I want to know how the people in the chat feel about that and the coaches feel about that.
Brian Kelly in Michigan? Oh, man.
I think he stays at LSU because I think LSU has the resource. They have more. Michigan.
Resources?
Michigan has more money. Yeah, Michigan has way more money than pretty much.
Yeah.
You can make an argument than any other school in the country. The problem is they don't put that money towards their athletic pro. They don't put that much money into their athletic programs because they focus more on the academic side. It's like Stanford. Stanford has a crap ton of money. Ivy League schools has like a crap ton of money, but they don't really put the amount. They don't focus athletics as the primary resource. It's why why Notre Dame isn't. Notre Dame's been good, but they've never eclipsed it to great over the modern age because of what they've done when it comes to financially putting in athletic programs, unlike Southern schools mainly, or that, let's be honest, they treat football like God. Like it's a religion in the South. So they will do whatever it takes to, make sure that their athletic programs, mainly their football programs, will end up being the top of the top, or top of the crowd.
Yeah. Okay. Same with me, man. I just to explore the idea though of Brian Kelly in Michigan. That's, to me, that would present like another Jimbo Fisher type situation, man. I think Jim Harbaugh leaving, they would definitely want to go out and get a big name.
They're gonna. Sherrod Moore will be their head coach. If Jim Harbaugh leaves, I'm fully confident they'll make him the head coach.
If they don't make Moore the head coach, they'll be making, to me, the same mistake that Auburn made by not giving Cadillac an opportunity.
Exactly.
You're at a state in your program where you're literally at the bottom of what, probably the lowest you've been in, not Michigan, but Auburn was at the lowest of where they probably been in a while, with all the extra stuff. And I ain't talking about with the record or their record, win-loss record. I'm talking about all the outside source, all the extra stuff. You're at a point where you could just create a different vibe by making that good hire and surrounding him with what, not having to pay him top end, but using that same money to go and invest in top end assistants, top end staff around a young coach who's clearly has Cadillac. Everybody, if you sit down and talk Cadillac or do any interviews, look at any of his interviews, Cadillac Williams knows football. He's definitely a coach on the field. That's one thing all his teammates said about him when he was at Auburn. He knew everybody's job. Has it translated to the coaching realm? We saw what Auburn was able to do. They gave us a test. They gave us a test early on. You saw them turning around for that coach. They played behind him. I think Sherrod Moore, if he was named the head coach in the midst of all of this negativity with cheat scandal and all that, Connor Stallions, all this stuff, the other cheating allegations that are coming out, it will be a test for him. But it would definitely be the easy hire to keep some type of morale or some type of positive status around that organization, because if all these negative things come back on Michigan and they're found to be true with the sign stealing, the legal actions, the recruiting, all of that stuff, that can definitely mess with your future recruiting classes going forward. Transfer portal guys not wanting to come and get that tied into their name or attached to their name. So it would definitely be a funny situation. Not funny, it would be an interesting situation to see if Kelly would even get that look. But if he did, I think it hurts that university tremendously.
Let me say this. Let me push back on you guys just for a little bit. I kind of slightly respectfully disagree. I like Brian Kelly, man. I think Brian Kelly's a hell of a coach. I think coaching at Notre Dame, he's sort of limited with academic standards, who can get in, who can't get in. To see what he came in the SEC and done, I respect Brian, man. I think Brian's a good coach. I mean, he it's hard to win in this league, man. It's hard to win this league, even if you got talent. To come in this league and beat Alabama's first year and then come in and go 9-3, about to be 10-3 his second year. I respect Brian. I think he's a more versatile coach than Jim Harbaugh. I think when Jim Harbaugh steps outside of his comfort zone, he looks weird.
Yeah.
And he can't hide it, right? I think Brian Kelly would be able to recruit at that school pretty well, right? You recruited at LSU and has done tremendous. He recruited at Notre Dame. I think Brian would do really, really well at Michigan, Mike.
Yeah.
Right. But again, coaching hires is very, very, very political. You gotta, otherwise Cadillac would be the head coach at Auburn. And as a Bama fan, I'm glad he's not. But
me too.
As a African American young man,
that's Ryan Williams at Auburn. If Cadillac's the head coach at Auburn,
Ryan
Williams at Auburn, Uno, Mbakwe, all those guys are at Auburn this year.
As a young African American guy myself, I would love to see Cadillac have the opportunity and see what he could do. But tomato, right? So I do, couldn't recruit at gunpoint. Why you say that, Mike? Mike.
He can recruit. Yeah, he can recruit. The problem is that he was at Notre Dame with that. This is kind of my problem. This is kind of my problem with him in Michigan. I mean, if he leaves LSU, he's going right back to Notre Dame. I mean, because Michigan has the exact same academic restrictions
that Notre Dame has.
Exact same restrictions.
Okay.
Exactly.
But
it's
but
the
even
exact
their
same.
boosters, have the same type of control that Notre Dame boosters and alumni have. As far as decision making. So you come to the SEC because SEC, most programs in the SEC in the South are more inclined to give you control. The revenue around the universities in these states, Alabama, LSU, Texas, Florida, revenue around it is not solely dependent on what the university brings in.
Yeah.
So when you have that type of space to kind of operate, kind of like what Coach Saban, and he's the one that really set the trend to have full control. That's why when Kirby left to go to Georgia, you seen the immediate impact because Kirby wasn't going to deal with all the extra political stuff that Mark Richt was dealing with. He going in there. I want to be able to I want to hire my own recruiting coordinator.
Brian Kelly wants full control. That's the only reason why he left Notre Dame because the stuff that he asked for couldn't get it because those boosters weren't willing to break their own academic policies or their own sort of policies. They weren't willing to sacrifice it. LSU's willing to sacrifice anything for a national championship. So whatever you want, money for NIL, you want recruiting, you want better facilities, whatever we'll give you, you'll have.
That's 100% facts because my first cousin, shout out to Alfred McCullough, played at Bama. And this was Coach Saban's first year. He was a Shula kid. And his second year, Coach Saban came in. Coach Saban came in, and I know this person's firsthand information, straight from the guys who were there. First thing this guy did when they took him on it, when he was walking around, he had been to the campus several times. Went in the weight room, his first day on the job. They had like 6 plasma screens at the top, all the way around the weight room. Cats in there laughing and talking and watching. First thing he did, everybody was speaking to him. What's up, coach? Didn't speak to nobody, didn't talk to nobody. All these plasma screens said, get them down. Everybody was like, what? Get them down. They came in, got the plasma screens down. He let them have the music, you know what I mean, on the loudspeaker. All the TVs gone. Whole new weight regime, everything changed. All the media people that used to allow it practice, shut it out to him. Don't want them in here. Everything changed, man. He pissed some people off, right? It was a lot of alumni. People forget in Coach Saban's first year, they didn't like Coach Saban. They was talking about firing him and all kind of stuff. The next year, I think it was 8-4 his first year. I think if I'm not mistaken, 7-6 his first year. We lost to Florida State in that bowl game. The next year, or next 2 years, when he got Julio, that's what really changed because Julio was a huge recruit that was about to go somewhere else. But to get Julio Jones and then to get Mark Barron and to get Mark Ingram and to get all those kids that was from state,
Michigan,
that changed the whole narrative, bro. So the right coach can change a lot of things. I think Brian Kelly would do well at Michigan, man. But it's like Coach Jay and Coach Mook say, if he have those same academic standards, those same hurdles, nah. You gotta remember this too, guys, real quickly. I watched where a fan was talking about how Michigan, the Big Ten, made more money than the SEC. As far as, remember this, man. You guys have more revenue sports, right? If you just break it down to just football, it's not even close.
It's not
I think
close.
you guys made like 800 and something million. We made like 700. You guys have, we don't have swimming as a big deal, hockey as a big deal here. I think you guys had 15 revenue sports. We had 9, right?
Lacrosse.
So right. So if you break it down just to football, it's not even close. Football in the South, people will pay an arm and a leg to get in the game. You wouldn't believe it here, right? And people make a lot of jokes about the education, and that's because your institutions won't divulge. It's like what Coach Mook was saying earlier. We had a university here that went through that same thing. It was called UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. Very prestigious medical school. Coach Mook can tell you that, right? We're academic. We're not going to devote the thing. Beautiful football team had an opportunity to really lock it down with their own stadium. Didn't want to build a stadium. Got them playing in Legion Field over there in the hood in Inslee. You know what I mean? So they tried to do, and guess what happened? They tried to do away with the football program. Their budget was cut in half. You had people quitting, people about to sue them. A year later, they revived the football program. Now, today, they got a packed house in Protective Stadium in downtown Birmingham. Budget is through the dadgum roof. if you football in the South pay the bills, man, you got to know that.
And if you don't, and I'm telling you right now, if you don't believe any Michigan fans that don't believe it, I will say this: look at Alabama's basketball arena, and then look at Alabama's football stadium.
Facts.
Night and day.
Shout out Mike.
That basketball arena is outdated as hell.
That's a whole fact. Coliseum suck. Facts.
As much as Nate Oates is doing with reviving the program, he's just now getting to the level with the previous postseason stints we've had under Nate Oates. He's just not getting to the level where basketball alumni are coming back. Same thing Coach Saban did. I remember Earl Alexander was bragging about when he came back to the neighborhood 2007. And he went to Alabama. He signed as an athlete, ended up playing wide receiver. He came back home, I want to say November, when they had that break in between after the Iron Bowl. And he was talking about same similar story you told about Coach Saban coming in and making changes.
Mm-hmm.
He said he didn't start with the stuff on the field or the stadium. He started with the stuff that mattered. I need to keep my players engaged inside this locker room, inside this facility, so that we can minimize. And this is before social media and all that was a big thing. He said so we can minimize distractions and guys can start buying into this process of what it takes to prepare to be a great player. Coach Saban, in order to do that, you have to have full control. This team went through a change that not many universities were used to seeing, and as far as turnaround in that short amount of time with a head coach. Kirby Smart was privileged to be able to not have to deal with the talent gap issue. He just need to go in knowing that, hey, this dude that ain't even on my sidelines or at my practices or making these trips to recruit these guys and talk to them and explain to them how they're going to be able to create value for their future, other than by buying some tickets and putting money into the program. I don't need this dude being able to talk to any of my players, if he's not going to be able to promote them. So keep them out of my way. Let them do their thing on their side. Write the checks. I'll show up to these meetings and stuff and these events. But when it comes to football operations, don't touch anything that got to do with football other than you contributing with your money and your support. Other than that, we don't need you because your dollar. It shouldn't be making a decision for what's best for these players. And that's why Kirby is having a success. Brian Kelly, Jimbo Fisher lost his chance with that when he started doing the dirty bag stuff at A&M.
Facts, Ephraim.
And it's just so much that plays into what causes a program or a university to be successful. And we can go on and on about it. But 3 hours in, y'all. Chat still popping. We got 150 plus in here. Make sure y'all done already dropped the likes, man. Shout out to all the Michigan fans that came through. But most of all, shout out to the real Bama fans. I'm going to keep saying real Bama fans because, y'all know me. I pull a fan card real quick. I snatch your fan card real quick. But appreciate y'all for pulling up as always. Yes, I saw somebody ask about media availability. I'm waiting for Kyle to text me with some information, see when we're gonna have to when we're gonna be able to start putting some stuff on the channel. If Kyle hasn't already started uploading it. I think right now he's trying to do everything, just record it mobile and send it to us so we can upload it for him. Because he's really on the move right now, trying to make sure he getting all the coverage. So definitely be patient. And for all the rumors and stuff, don't feed into a lot of these narratives when it comes to anything regarding Alabama football, man. I'm confident enough in the resources that we've been privy to over this season. That the accuracy on these reports is immaculate, and I gotta give Kyle his due, man. Give him his flowers, man. He's put in the work. He's really connected with this program. So if you don't hear from here or one of the main guys with Bone and Potter and those guys, it's probably not true. And that's even in regards to what Saban is doing postseason. So Bama fans, rest assured, this ain't the last we'll see of Saban after this natty. If we do, if him and Miss Terry decide to ride off into the sunset, he deserves it, man. 8 national championships, the next person to do it it's going to take at least 20, 30 years for them to even try to do it. So I'm happy for what this team has come to. In closing, y'all, we're not going to do the normal closing out like we usually do. Because we might have more content popping up tonight. But tomorrow, same time, same place, Us three will be here. Me and the guys, me and the coaches will be here again. And tomorrow it'll be set up to where we can get, because we really wanted to talk to you all today. We got to figure out what's going on with my internet signal, and yeah, we're gonna figure it out, get it all set up. Definitely want to get, so all my Michigan fans that was in here today, pull up tomorrow. We'll have a format set up, and there will be a time limit so we can stay under that 3-hour mark or that 2-hour mark. I'm saying 3 hours.
Shout out Mike Ford.
Mike Ford, you already know. Mike Ford is in the
Dolomite.
Discord. He talk real good football.
Mhm.
That's
Al
why
Sanders, what up, bro?
I wish Carlos would pull up to the Discord. I think he's scared though. He feels safe. A lot of fans feel safe coming on these platforms and these channels because they could say crazy stuff in the chat, and if we respond how our nature outside of this being on this camera, if we could respond like that, like we would if we was just in the chat, we would, and it wouldn't be as many repercussions. So I think they kind of use that against us to try to catch us and make us look soft. But come to that Discord and really get behind them scenes, man, and get in them trenches and see what you're talking about. We'll see what you're talking about in there. But other than that, man, Coach Jay, tell the people how they can find you again, bro.
Twitter, Jants716, YouTube, Jants Sports.
And I'm just playing. I ain't gonna do that to you.
That's only.
You know what's funny? I actually did have an account created.
Did
I
you
was
really?
gonna feet pics. Yeah, I was gonna have feet pics created. I was gonna have feet pics.
Man, I thought you said free picks like you was doing prize picks on OnlyFans, you know.
Oh no, you gotta pay for that.
Pouring
That's not going for free. The feet pics are free.
Pouring cherry syrup on you and stuff, you know, like red.
Yeah,
syrup.
that's $9.99, man, per month. You want to see all that exclusive content? You have to pay for that, brother.
Nah, we ain't gonna beat them
y'all gonna have to pay for that.
We ain't gonna beat them guys. We ain't OnlyFans. We got church in the morning. Stop playing with me. But anyways, Coach Shaw, tell the folks where they can find you, bro.
Shout out to Dolomite. Shout out to Ephraim. And shout out to the bro, Al Sanders. Love y'all boys, man. You find me right here at Bama Football on YouTube with the fellas and with Kyle and with Ty, and at Just My Humble Opinion Sports Talk, JMHO Sports Talk. Tap in.
And y'all already know where y'all can find me at Coach Smook on everything. Guys, we almost at 800 followers on Twitter. Hey, the agenda next week, like I said, I'm promoting the team, man. I'm promoting the team. My team, we on the way up. Now, I ain't gonna say my team, our team, we on the way up. Shout out to Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube, Mr. Bama Football himself. Like I said, man, most legit source of news to come, you know, when it comes that I know personally. I can't say of all, but that I know personally. When he says something is on the rise, or he's saying something is happening in the makings, better believe it, better chalk it. And you know, it's good to be a part of something like that. Shouts out to everybody that came in with the super chats today. Demario came in with $1.99. Katrina came in with $4.99. David Kendall with the $5. Demario came back in with another $1.99, and David Kendall with another $2. So we definitely appreciate y'all. David Kendall, y'all know who I haven't seen in a few weeks, man. And chat, I don't know if y'all have paid attention in the chat, but I haven't seen my guy Bobby Sprinkle. Y'all remember Bobby Sprinkle used to be in the chat every show, man. I haven't seen him in the Discord. So if any of you in the chat know Bobby Sprinkle, he's from Alabama, and know how I could get in contact with him. I think he wrote me on Facebook one time. So I'm gonna try to reach out. We pay attention to who be in the chat, man. There's been a few names haven't been able to see. Darkwing Duck. You
Coach Smook, real quick. Don J asked that. Don J, it's down to us in Michigan. I don't really know at the moment. I just know it's down to us in Michigan. All right.
What are you talking about?
He was right there.
Do y'all think we got Damani Jackson? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. I think we ran him away originally with him not being able to come in and be looked at as a day one starter, because he was very vocal about getting true day one looks. His mentality doesn't mesh well with what I would think is in our locker room, and he's a player. He can't be that dude. He's one of them Chad Johnson type guys. He gonna tell you if he open, he open. You better believe him, because he probably open. But Damani Jackson, he's a lockdown guy. He didn't get tried a lot this year.
Open for it. They're more open for it. I mean, they normally just go by depth, like fourth, fifth year guys. But if they can get like a big, all their transfers play, all their transfers start, and that's what Michigan has done good well in the transfer portal.
Des Ricks, 5-star. We ain't worried.
Exactly. Des Ricks, Earl Little.
Antonio
Mbakwe coming in. Antonio Kite is already there. Jaleel Hurley's there.
Yeah.
Tony Mitchell on the top. Caleb Downs coming back. Might have Christian Story back for another year because he does have another year eligibility.
Trey Amos.
Trey Amos is. I've been hearing some things about Amos, man. And it took me going back to the Texas game. I forgot how many plays he made in that Texas game. He gave up 2 plays, but he made a lot. He made like 6 plays in that Texas game. Took away reads in that Texas game, and made me look at that game from a different viewpoint because we didn't play him at the boundary like we starting to see now. He was coming in and playing that 4th corner role. So I'm just excited to see it. But yeah, I think Damani Jackson, I think he's the Michigan man, honestly. But I do think we still get Evan Stewart though. I've been hearing a lot, and I've been seeing some things, some like little cryptic tweets and things of that nature of people around him. Hasn't been a lot of buzz around him making a visit or anything, which usually means when guys going around, especially with these transfers, Jermaine Burton did the same similar thing. He went to Oregon and went to who was Jermaine Burton? Was it Oregon and Miami? Jermaine Burton went and visited before he committed to Alabama.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I have no idea. It could have been Miami.
I mean, usually I think Saban and his conversation with these transfer guys is pretty straightforward. So he kind of tells them, hey, if you're gonna commit here, it's not because
I think he's going to Texas.
You think so?
Oregon. Yeah. I think he wanted
Texas
or Oregon.
I said Texas originally, but I don't think he like
I don't know. Texas has a lot of like receiving power. Like they got a lot of like
they still got
guys
Cook.
that are ready to
Cook. He didn't want to play with Cook.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to play with Jonte Cook, which is crazy to me because, well, never mind. It's not crazy because they, similar style player. They got the same mentality. So
about 175 of those Benjamins will make you change your mind quickly.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's one thing they got.
155K. I was about to say 175K. You mean? I don't think Coach Saban them dropping that kind of back.
No.
Yeah, because his NIL value is like what at $2 million for his NIL value. So you know how players are nowadays. They take a look at the NIL value. So if you don't break anything close to that bag,
bro,
what's the point of me even coming?
The thing is coming to Bama, and Dallas Turner made a comment about it yesterday. Like he didn't come in with the NIL era, so it was never a thought in his his recruiting class was the one before the NIL.
Yeah.
And it was never a thought to think that like, man, I'm gonna legally be able to make money off my name. I'm going to Bama to play. And I think he right now is at 2.3 mil over the past 2 years. So it's I mean, you never know. And he's not a camera guy. A lot of these guys get their NILs because of their connections. And hey, did it again. Why his picture? Why his thing had your picture on?
I don't know what's up with that.
But yeah, chat, that's us, man. Y'all catching us just having bro talk right now. We might have to start a show like that, bro talk, Bama bro talk or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, bring a lot of y'all on to get that type of stuff going. But that's us today, man. 3 hours. I think it's plenty of content y'all could pull from this, plenty of information, insight, all that stuff. Always happy to be with my bros, Coach Sean, Coach Jay. Appreciate y'all, Coach, and Kyle Henderson, bro. We definitely appreciate you. Shouts out to Ty Hayes. He should be back home Monday. Hopefully we can get him on this post game show. I would love to have Ty on our post game show. That's when we beat Michigan. So this is the coaches, man. Coach Smoot, Coach Sean, Coach Jazz. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Roll Tide, everybody. And we out of here, man.
It's been a while,